everyone. Welcome back to Ghostwood, Twin Peaks podcast. What is it here? Higgelig, Motodeg, Jeg heter Haros Skaggs.
Higgelig, Motodeg, Jag heter Xan Sprouse.
And of course,
So, take my hand, Charles. Let's join hands.
There we go.
Higgelig,
Higgelig,
Motodeg. Higgelig, Motodeg.
Higgelig, Motodeg. So, what the hell are we talking about? Well, obviously, we're talking about one of the deleted scenes on the Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me Criterion edition, one of the missing pieces, which was, of course, a great moment with Ray Wise, Grace Zabriskie, and Sheryl Lee in probably the only time the Palmer family was ever actually happy, I think.
Well, that we've seen.
That we've seen, that we know of.
Right.
Presumably they had to have at least one more happier moment than that, I would think.
True, and Laura talked about some happy times in the diary, but this is the happiest we've ever seen them.
Yeah, because...
So it makes this...
Go ahead.
It makes this scene kind of sad, because we know this family can be happy, but we also know that terrible, terrible things are going to happen to them.
Exactly. Well, yeah, because obviously, yeah, we've watched Fire Walk with Me by now, the regular version, and without the missing pieces, and we've watched the regular series, the original series. So yeah, we know it's not going to have a happy ending. We know it doesn't even really have a happy story.
No.
So, so it's kind of weird and a little unsettling, but yet it's kind of a tad uplifting too, I think.
It is. It's nice
to know. It's like, they at least had one decent moment in their lives.
That they have little things. They have small victories. That is good. That's all you can ask for in Twin Peaks are small victories, frankly.
Exactly. And this was a scene where Leland is trying to teach Norwegian to Sarah and Laura so that they can introduce themselves to the Norwegian group that's coming to the Great Northern.
This is before we know that the Norwegians are leaving.
Exactly, because Audrey shakes fist.
Audrey,
first you, and she's off, kind of like
Audrey.
he in the corner.
Is there something wrong, young pretty girl?
Yes, very nice. So he's trying to teach them how to say like hello, and my name is.
Yes, hello. How are you? My name is.
Yeah. So if you're wondering what kind of gibberish we were spouting, this was at least my pitiful attempt at Norwegian. I think you sounded much better than I did.
I was trying to quote, so yeah. I don't know which one of us was.
I think you probably came off better because you did it phonetically, and I was trying to follow how it looked, the pronunciation as it looked on the paper. So I think you win.
Right.
So, but yeah, obviously we're going to talk about the Criterion Collection edition of Fire Walk with Me. This is our second attempt at this, so hopefully we can get through this one this time. Yeah, so obviously we've talked about Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me before, so there's no point in going over that again unless you really, really want us to, but we do have another episode where you can listen to all that stuff. But obviously this was a screenplay by David Lynch and Robert Engels, directed by David Lynch. And this Criterion version came out on October 17th of this year. And we're just now finally getting around to it because
Zan was in Australia.
Well, Zan was in Australia, and then my world just completely blew apart last week. So
send some messages of love to Charles. He's having a rough time.
Yeah. I think my cat is having the rough time. I just try to be supportive.
Well, that's all you can do for kitties. Just scritches and snuggles. That's all you can do.
Yeah, exactly. So, and lots of KFC, apparently.
Oh, is that what she likes?
She is addicted to KFC because her daddy brings some home on Wednesdays after getting comics and whatnot to watch, stops by KFC.
Okay.
And that's the thing, so she loves her KFC.
I had a cat who...
She's a junk food junkie, our Keiko.
Lord have mercy on me.
Exactly.
But I had a cat who her thing was Arby's. So my parents would do, well, my dad would do the five for, back then it was $5 for $5 regular roast beef.
Right.
And cat always got one. So
very nice. Oh, and I got this today too. Ooh.
What is that?
This is the Twin Peaks Season 3 Blu-ray set.
Yours came today?
It came out today.
Yours came today. You got it today.
Yeah, well, I picked it up at Best Buy. I went up to Best Buy because apparently Amazon.
Well, I pre-ordered it, so mine should have been here.
Well, here's the thing: Amazon apparently back-ordered everybody because they did not order enough, and CBS didn't make enough because they didn't anticipate demand properly. So a lot
CBS has been stupid with Twin Peaks forever.
So thankfully, yours truly was planning on getting it from Best Buy, and apparently Best Buy has it. So you have to track it down.
Oh my gosh!
So I got my copies today.
Lame.
Yes. Ooh. So there's Secret Dougie underneath the. So.
That is ridiculous.
So lots of people were not happy. Cool. Obviously, there was a bit of a higgledy-piggledy on the Twitter machine about this today.
Yeah, I have not been on the Twitter machine today, so I haven't seen that. But yeah. I am now.
Yeah, if you do it like a hashtag Twin Peaks, yeah, you'll see a lot of like, Jeff Bezos, fire yourself stuff posts.
Well, if CBS didn't make enough, that's not Bezos's fault.
No, but it's kind of hard to say where the blame lies, but.
Well, and everybody loves to hate Jeff Bezos,
right?
So.
But it's a good sign that, well, hey, if CBS made a certain amount, but they didn't anticipate demand. So I guess if like David Lynch and Mark Frost really, really want to do a new Twin Peaks season, I'd say this is probably a good sign that
if they just want people to give them money, I mean, that will happen.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, I've had issues with CBS and their home video releases because I'm a Star Trek fan.
Oh God. Yeah, serious.
And the gouging and just the releases and weird packaging and all kinds of stuff. So it's
well, don't even get me started on the special editions of Star Trek.
Yes. Yeah.
Where they've gone back into the 1966 series and added special effects and crap like that. Don't even get me started on that.
Right. Well, part of me likes that depending on the episode, but. It's
no,
nice.
I don't like it.
You don't like it?
What it was. It's not what it was. No, maybe clean up some bad film stuff.
Right.
But don't add planets and stupid crap like that.
Yeah. Well, it's not like what Lucas does. They just like make the effects better.
They make the effects better by redoing the effects.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say like clean up any sort of film problems, but don't like add planets. Don't make it digital Enterprise. Don't do that. Just make it look nice. Yeah.
I will say the packaging for the Twin Peaks season 3 is actually pretty nice. So.
Yeah, I'll bet it is for people who got it, Charles.
Xana's staring daggers at me. You suck.
I'm so bad right now. I completely forgot what day it was.
Yep. It's Twin Peaks Day.
It's Twin Peaks Day, and I'm sitting here like a chump with nothing.
You got the podcast. That's something, right?
Well, that's true. That's pretty good. That's pretty darn good. At least I still have everything.
I hope it's good. I'm feeling a little.
It's very good.
I'm feeling a little insecure right now.
Oh, don't feel insecure.
Right.
No.
Okay.
The podcast is way better than a Blu-ray. I will say that.
Okay, just check.
But it'd be better if we both had the Blu-ray.
Well, just come on over and we can watch Twin Peaks.
There we go.
You watch all these cool special features. So if nothing else, I've got it if you want to burn through this stuff. So, all right. So anyway, back to Criterion Walk with Me before I totally ran us off the rails. We talked about this in our first attempt that there were some similarities and differences among the Blu-rays from the what's on the entire mystery Fire Walk with Me discs. And what's on this Criterion release. I mentioned that, I was happy that At least on the Criterion version, I didn't have to wait for Paramount's pre-menu nonsense. That the picture was better, I thought, on the Criterion version. And that we did get those new Sheryl Lee and Angelo Badalamenti interviews, which was nice. But there's a lot of stuff that there's a lot of stuff that I think is missing from that was in the entire mystery collection that should have been in there.
I think so too, and I think that when it comes to Criterion, this is on the bare bones end of what they usually offer.
Right.
And
I don't know. I don't normally get Criterion, so I'm guessing you do. So.
Well, yeah, I'm a Criterion junkie.
So as far as a Criterion fan, you would consider this a poor release?
I would consider this a bare bones release.
Okay,
nothing Criterion does.
A mediocre release for them.
This is the thing. I love Criterion. I'm a total Criterion geek. If I have a movie and it comes out on Criterion, I buy it a second time.
Right.
And I love foreign films and cult films, and that's what Criterion does best. And they've done everything they do is going to look beautiful. That is the one thing you can always count on Criterion for. It will look and sound gorgeous.
Okay.
It will also have good packaging. I've never seen anything Criterion that didn't have good packaging, but they have different levels. They have something like this that I would consider the minimal. What do you think of someone who does the bare minimum?
Yeah.
This is the 15 pieces of flair.
Right.
Okay. They have 32 pieces of flair releases as well.
To put this on the Office Space scale.
On the Office Space scale, this is definitely the bare minimum 15 pieces of flair.
Okay.
It's acceptable. It's fine. You get to keep your job. But, if people want to do more, well, then we encourage that. And they have done releases that are, for me, when it comes to Brazil, I spoiled my own thought here.
Yeah.
When it comes to Criterion's upper echelon releases, I think I can always come back to Brazil.
Okay, that's your like the top of your list.
Yes, that
as the best.
That is the best release.
The pinnacle.
Yes, probably after that is probably Picnic at Hanging Rock, because they brought the book back into print in the United States for that release.
Okay.
So I like that, and that's the thing. There are multiple discs. They come with extra things. They really kind of dig into the vault. But this is, like we've said before, we had the missing pieces. We've had this released on DVD before, so there was not a lot to pull from to put on this release.
Right. We did get did get the new booklet. The new booklet.
We did get the new booklet, and the new booklet, which I found, by the way.
Yay! Yeah, you lost it last time.
I tried to read it, and then, of course, I couldn't find it anywhere. So, and I think I said this last time when we were talking, is that this is the one thing that I am always sort of like mildly disappointed with, because it is Blu-ray sized. Yes. I would love it if this were a larger book, but it's still pretty good.
Yeah. Well, obviously,
it's a really cool book.
They want it to fit inside the packaging, which makes sense. But
right, you have to fit inside the packaging, and as the packaging gets smaller with Blu-rays, it is going to be smaller packaging. But right. I still love it. I especially love the inner cover, which is
the painting
the angel.
Yep,
it's angel painting. It's not the doorway painting.
No, it's angel painting. Yes, the other one.
The angel painting. Yeah. So the book is fantastic.
The one where the angel vanishes from the painting.
Yes, exactly. The one where the angel vanishes from the painting. And the book and the interviews are definitely make this a worthwhile purchase. It is definitely a worthwhile purchase. The original release of the DVD of Fire Walk with Me is definitely one of those bare bones, special features scene selection, which this Criterion release does not have.
Right.
So you can skip through it, but you don't know what you're skipping to.
Yeah, that was one of my gripes.
Then you can also say, why would you?
Yeah, I was going to say that was one of my gripes too. Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to talk all over you there.
That's all right. It's hard to tell who's talking when you're on a bad video connection.
Yeah, I know. I keep getting these pop-ups going, "Your video sucks."
Yeah.
So All right, so we'll try and get through this. Hopefully, it doesn't affect the audio. As long as it doesn't affect the audio, we're good. Because hey, you can't see our podcast unless we put it up on YouTube.
Thank God, all you at podcast land can't see us.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend me at all. Zan's lovely, so. But,
well, I'm sure you're lovely too. Just right now, you're very pixelated.
Yeah.
So that's the problem.
Yeah, this is the Atari 2600 version of me.
This is the 8-bit Charles that we have right here. So. Boop, 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 boop. do, 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 do.
Yeah, there you go. All right, so so we got to we're missing some documentaries, and but we did get some new interviews. So it's I think overall, I think the entire mystery is the better release. But obviously, if you're like looking for a better picture and a couple more interviews, it's a good. The Criterion release, I think, is a good companion to the missing pieces or the entire mystery.
I think so too, the entire mystery, but I also think was Fire Walk with Me on the entire mystery?
Yes,
I didn't think it was.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Yeah, the Fire Walk with Me gets a disc, and then there's a second disc of Fire Walk with Me special features, including the missing pieces.
I remember the special features, but I remember them all being together, just as one big.
No, it's two discs on the missing pieces, or in the entire mystery. Yeah,
I got to revisit that.
Yeah, so I think it's a good companion piece. But if it's one of those like, well, I've got it, should I go ahead and spring double dip?
Yeah,
I think
you should.
I think it's okay. Yeah, it's if nothing else for the better picture.
Yeah, and I definitely think you should. Once you get this, you can get rid of your old one.
Right.
Your old original DVD if you still have it.
Right. You can just take this out of the Criterion package and put it into the entire mystery box and swap it. There you go.
No, I mean the original Fire Walk with Me only single disc.
The original DVD release.
The original DVD release of Fire Walk with Me by itself, yes.
Unless you're like me, which you just keep every single Twin Peaks thing you've ever owned because,
that was me too. I had to keep. There were things on
the hoarder.
Well, collector. If it doesn't have rat poop on it, you're a collector.
I like that.
That's the distinction. So
that's an important distinction.
If it doesn't have rat poop on it and you know where it is, then. Like, if you can find your birth certificate, then you're fine. Because I remember the gold box had things that are not on the entire mystery.
Right. Yeah, I can't remember if the Saturday Night Live sketch is on the entire mystery. Yeah, it's on the gold box.
Yeah, not the entire mystery.
That's why I haven't gotten rid of my gold box.
That's exactly why I haven't gotten rid of my gold box.
Because I'm keeping that Saturday Night Live sketch.
Did they have the Anything But Love sketch on that too?
Oh, I can't remember. I don't think so.
Don't remember. Anything But Love was a sitcom with Richard Lewis and Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah. I don't think they have the Northern Exposure homage either.
Yeah, I don't think so. Northern Exposure was interesting too because Northern Exposure was kind of where we all migrated to after Twin Peaks was over.
Right.
Like, okay, Weird Town in the Northwest.
Yeah, we had X-Files and we had Northern Exposure. That's what it took two of those shows to replace Twin Peaks.
Right, and it didn't even come close to filling the void.
No,
because here we are, 26 years later, still talking about it.
Because we spent the next quarter of a century whining for it to come back. So please come back.
Yes, we did,
and it worked. And whining pays off.
But I will say we can talk about this booklet for a little bit since we did say this is probably the most unique thing that we.
Yeah, please do.
Took a look at, and this is an interview and photos, still photos, which honestly, still photos were much, much cooler before we had videotape. Back when we had, all we had were photo novels and trading cards and stuff like that. But
we had all those grainy videotape VHS images.
Right. So the interview is actually very interesting because it talks about David Lynch actually growing up with a log lady and how she was this woman around town who would carry a log, write things in a notebook, and she was part of the sawmill, but she looked like she was walking and like touching a log, and then like the log was talking, because she would touch these logs and then write down what it looked like. It was writing down what the log told her.
Right.
So that was very interesting. And you think
because you always wonder like how many of these characters were influenced by real life.
Well, and that's the thing, when we hear about this woman, and then we know that when David Lynch was a young boy in Missoula, there was a naked lady that just showed up on the street one day.
Yeah, that obviously influenced Blue Velvet, I'm guessing.
That was Blue Velvet, right. And so you think, when everybody talks about, oh, David Lynch is so weird, he's such a weird guy, and it's like, well, wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
I mean, when you were 8, some naked woman showed up and everybody was just like, huh, what do we do now?
Yep.
So he comes by it honest. You have to give him that.
So apparently we owe Twin Peaks to a naked lady that showed up on David Lynch's door at 8 when he was 8.
Well, yeah, that's true. Twin
Partially.
Peaks, Blue Velvet. Well, Blue Velvet for sure, and then Twin Peaks we owe to this woman at the sawmill who was doing apparently quality control. But still, kudos to David Lynch for having an imagination about that. So,
yeah.
But yeah, my favorite thing about the log lady's log was that, he had his little arms that stuck out, like, hey, I'm still in this log. So.
That's great.
Yeah, I love that. So yeah, the booklet is definitely the interview is definitely worth reading. Mostly what I thought was interesting was that, how much of this weird ass town was actually stuff that happened that David Lynch had seen.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, a good writer writes what he knows, or she knows. And, you draw from those real life experiences. Now you can obviously change them, and enhance them, but it's a good foundation, I think.
Starting from truth is a very good foundation.
Right.
Now,
because it's sharper in your mind. You have an idea of what it is, and you just have to get it down and how to explain it to the audience.
It has an air about it.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. All right. So we might as well talk about the missing pieces, because we didn't really talk about those during our Fire Walk With Me discussion.
Now, I think that, no, we did not, because when we talked about the movie, we just talked about the movie, and we didn't talk about anything extra.
I think we talked about, like, Philip Jeffries, and that was pretty much it.
Right. And we talked about all the things that we said after seeing The Return that we thought were really strange and really obtuse, but now we're like, okay, I get it. And I think that was part of including these scenes on this release, because we are fresh from seeing The Return, and watching these deleted scenes again, you realize how much The Return was taken from Fire Walk With Me.
Right.
And how important Fire Walk With Me was. And I think, again, that was David Lynch's way of saying, no, this movie was good. Everything about it made sense. Everything about it is important. So you need to go back and rethink your review on this. Yeah. Because when I first saw these missing pieces, when the Blu-ray of the television show of the original series came out, I thought, okay, well, this is just more of the same. And now that I'm seeing it, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, my God, I forgot about this and I forgot about that. And there were so many things that connected everything.
Yeah, we've talked about this, about how it feels like it matters more now after watching The Return. You actually see how it fits into the overall puzzle.
Right, you see how it fits, and I should have known, because we can just jump right into the deleted scenes, and I'll start in the middle. There is a scene where it's an extension of that scene where Laura comes over to Donna's house.
Right.
And, are you my best friend? She comes over crying, and they just sit there talking. But you see Laura's interaction with the Hayward family, and how her parents really just adore Laura as well, that she's a member of their family. And Doc Hayward says, why do I not allow smoking in my house, but I let you smoke when you're here? And she says, because you love me so much. And he says, I do. And then he tells her that when you see the angel, you will cry tears of joy.
Yeah, you said you weep with joy. Or the angels will return, and when you see the one who's meant for you, you'll weep with joy. Yeah.
And when I saw that scene, I started to cry. When I first saw that, I was like, "Oh my God!" That makes, of course, the last scene of Fire Walk with Me makes so much more sense, and it makes her. That's why she seems so happy and not, and like she's looking at that angel, like she recognizes it. Now we know why.
Yeah.
Now she was almost expecting that angel.
Well, the thing you're talking about the best friends edit scene, by the way, and so what makes this scene I think so important, and I kind of wish it was left in the final cut, is because remember when they're in the pink room, and Laura's telling Donna, she's talking to Jacques, and she's getting ready to lay one on him, and she goes, "I am the muffin." He goes, "I am the great wit," and she goes, "I am the muffin." So here in this best friends edit scene, we kind of get, where Laura's telling Donna, "You're the muffin."
Right.
And then it's only when she leaves that, she leaves Donna's house in the next deleted scene where she's talking about no, Donna, you're right. I'm the muffin.
I'm the muffin. And this was often when I see deleted scenes, I think, okay, I can see why this had to go. But this one I really think would have been beneficial.
Yeah, because watching just the actual final cut, that you're like, what is she talking about when she's talking about I'm the muffin? I don't get it. What does she mean?
Well, they're high, they're drunk. It doesn't matter what they're saying.
Right.
You could, but it gives more meaning.
But it matters more now.
It gives more meaning to it, and it also, I don't know, and the scene, and then of course the ending scene with the angel, I think that just makes it so much more poignant for Laura.
Yeah.
Having been told this by Dr. Hayward, I think deep down, Laura wanted to be her father too, because her father, as much as he loved her, couldn't be her father for her because he wasn't himself. He wasn't all there for her.
Right. That, because she was best friends with Donna. She got to see how Donna interacted with her father. And I think she was probably a little envious and jealous of that.
Well, and he's such a loving person. He's such a nurturing person, and he's so accepting. You would think that a small town doctor who looks very square would see, James Hurley come over in his motorcycle with his leather jacket. He'd be all stern about it, but
get off my lawn.
Right, but he's like, "Is that James on the phone? Tell him to get over here, Mayday! Who the hell ever heard of diet lasagna?" He's sort of accepting of anybody that Donna wants to bring into her life.
I forgot about that scene. That's a great scene.
Yeah, who the hell ever heard of diet lasagna?
It was so funny to see Doc Hayward, Warren Frost, just kind of ranting about something. It was pretty funny.
Well, and I just love how even when he comes over for dinner, he's a motorcycle rebel guy, but he's a genuinely polite kid. And the parents aren't really looking to size him up. They just want to get to know him because Donna likes him.
Yeah.
And I think that this is part of their parenting, is part of why it's so worrisome what happened with Gersten. Yeah. That's breaking their heart. Yeah. What happened to her?
Yeah, yeah. And we're going to get into that once we get into the final dossier.
Yeah, we are. Which will be
that's a tale, one of many.
Yeah, that'll be fun. Yeah. So, stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned.
That'll probably be a 2-part episode because that book, while short,
there's a lot we have to go through.
We're gonna
have to. Yeah, Sheriff, we got a lot to talk about.
Got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we do. We're gonna have to break that up, kind of like we did with the soundtracks. All right, so. You want to just randomly pick? You want to randomly pick some scenes that you liked, or you want me to just run through them one by one? I'll do.
Well, that was my favorite. So just go ahead and go to the beginning.
Okay. So let's see here. There's my copious notes here.
I started with chaos, and now you can.
No, that's okay. I can adapt. I'm good with some chaos. It's good. It keeps things spontaneous. I'm all right.
It does.
I like that.
Yes.
All right, so we start off with Desmond's M.O. And we have Agent Sam Stanley and Agent Chester Desmond leaving the morgue after performing that autopsy of I can't believe I'm blanking on her name.
Teresa Banks.
Teresa Banks, thank you. It's been a long day. All right, so and they're talking about it's nighttime, so that's that. No big deal. The next scene, say hello to Jack, where they say it's Sam and Chet. They talk to Jack, the owner of Hap's Diner, and we get kind of like a extended scene where they meet him. You know, where you have the flickering lights,
right?
And they're asking him about Teresa Banks, and Jack sends them to Irene, who apparently was Teresa's supervisor. And in the finish cut, there was only like the tail end of that part.
Right. And this was one of those that I felt didn't necessarily need to be any longer than it was. It's, more Lynch. I'll never turn down more David Lynch, but at the same time, it's not. I don't feel like it wouldn't have detracted, but I don't think it would have added.
No. I mean, Jack wasn't exactly an essential character to the plot. So if something had to be cut, this was fine. As far as I totally agree. We get next scene, Good Morning Irene, where Irene, it's like the next morning, and Irene's, I guess she works third shift, apparently. And so it's daylight. She goes into a car out in the parking lot, and they say good morning to her, and referencing Jack's discouragement of saying goodnight, Irene. And as she gets into her car and heads home, and she's kind of sassy to them because, hey, it's Irene.
Irene is kind of sassy.
Yeah, exactly. So there's that. So that was kind of an easy scene to cut, I think. Now, one scene I kind of wish was in there was the next one. This one's coming from J. Edgar.
Yes.
And this is the big, Sheriff Cable versus Chester Desmond fight. And so now, if you watch Fire Walk with Me, you know that Cable and the whole Deer Meadow Sheriff's Department are essentially giving all kinds of attitude to Chet and Sam, trying to basically almost getting dangerously close to obstruction of justice in this.
I think they're actually at obstruction of justice.
You think so?
Point.
So Chet's finally had enough, and Cable's had enough, so they kind of agree to take it outside.
Fisticuffs.
Yeah, and of course you get Cable trying to I'm a big man, here I am bending the rebar. Cable bends cable.
And then we get Chris Isaak taking off his suit jacket and rolling up his sleeves, and then I forget what happens because I'm just looking at it at this point.
And then he goes, "Baby did a bad thing."
Baby did a bad thing.
Yep.
Yes, it's because somebody's crying.
Feels like crying. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Patience is the night. Oh wait, wrong series. So no, I love me.
Zan just kind of drifted there for a little bit.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think he's a beautiful, beautiful man.
Yeah, shakes fist.
Pretty.
But anyway, yeah, he's cool. I actually, I've seen Chris Isaak in concert. I got nothing against Chris Isaak. He's great.
Oh heck yeah, he's good times.
He's great. But anyway, so they get into it. Chet easily handles Cable. I mean, just basically tries to kind of take a couple punches just to kind of lure him in, and then just bam, 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 bam.
Done.
Yeah, exactly.
And then he goes over and picks up and bends his own rebar.
Right.
And he says, "Who's next?
Who's next? Yeah,
Who's next?"
Because the other two, like the deputy and then the receptionist or whatever,
right?
They were giving him all kinds of attitude as well and acting all snotty. So he's just
I forget her name, but I think of her as the evil Lucy.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, she's the anti-Lucy.
She's the anti-Lucy, right? So they're just giggling and expecting this to go the way it always goes.
Right.
And nope.
So that was great. So I kind of wish that scene was in there, just because it's so satisfying just to watch Cable getting his clock cleaned.
It is very satisfying, but again, when you have a movie where there's so much interesting going on, I can understand something like this just sort of.
Right.
This is a side path, and too many side paths make things slow down. But this is extremely satisfying and very funny. So
it would be kind of nice if we did get at some point an extended cut.
That would be so great.
But
yeah.
there's certainly enough material for it. So.
Oh yes. And with David Lynch's name on it, no Alan Smithy cuts. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I totally agree. Next scene we get is the big one with Cooper and Diane, where we almost finally sort of get a taste of or just a glimpse of the actual Diane, not just Diane with Cooper talking into his dictaphone.
Not just a tape recorder, actual Diane.
Yep.
Yes.
And so, yes, actual Diane. Although, of course, we don't see her, but we have Cooper standing in a doorway, acting uncharacteristically cocky, I think.
Well, they have this.
It's like a flirting relationship, but.
Well, obviously.
Yeah, well, obviously.
Well, they have this every morning where she changes something in the office and he needs to notice what it is. So he's noticing things about her.
Like to test his powers of observation, I guess.
Right, to test powers of observation. And he's looking around the office and he says, that dress is lovely on you and you haven't changed your hair, so it's something else. So it's not a creepy situation where he's being really kind of flirty, but it's more a all right, let me do this. Like, it's more that he's being cocky about his abilities rather than being like an asshole boss or something like that.
I agree. Yeah, it's
what is it? The clock move 4 inches to the left or something
12
that?
inches to the left. Yeah,
12 inches to the left. Yeah. Right. So something really subtle, and that gives us some insight into Cooper's ability to talk to Harry for 5 minutes and meet Josie Packard and then say, "How long have you been in love with Josie?" Cooper notices things, and so this is another reinforcement of that part of his.
So I don't think it was necessary to keep this scene, but it was a fun scene.
Right, I don't think it would have detracted, but I think it might have been fun.
Again, this would be great on an extended cut.
Right, this wouldn't have necessarily added to the story because we already knew this about Cooper, that he has.
Yeah, but it's always fun to watch him be like Sherlock Holmes, essentially.
Yes. He's way less cocky than Sherlock Holmes, that's for sure.
That's true. Especially depending on the actor playing him, but yeah, generally yes.
Well, I don't think even in the books.
No, in the novels, yeah. There's Arthur Conan Doyle novels. He does have attitude. He is arrogant. Yes.
He's pretty sure that he's smarter than everyone he meets in the world. So.
Yeah. Next scene we get is Sam Stanley's apartment, where we have Cooper talking to Sam. So this is something a little different.
Right.
So we kind of understand why Cooper tells the Diane to go to
his team.
Albert. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go to Albert. Don't go to Sam. Yeah, so this is probably where he kind of gets his prejudice against Sam a little bit.
Well, and I think Sam obviously shows himself as being a little too eger.
Right.
Did you meet Lil? Not going to talk about that. What about the Blue Rose? Can't tell you that. He's very much.
Yeah.
He's being the Chester to Cooper's Spike.
Yeah.
To bring it back to Looney Tunes, Warner Brothers term. Hey Cooper, did you see that girl with the dress? Huh? Did you meet Lil? Did you meet her? Huh? Hey Coop. So I think he's so eager, and Cooper is trying to sort of just slow him down because he's obviously not ready for Blue Rose task force.
Yeah, probably doesn't think he's mature enough.
No.
So yeah, of course, Sam's awkward around Cooper. And yeah, like you said, he's asking about Lil's Blue Rose. Now here, though, Sam shows Cooper the tea found under Teresa Banks' fingernail.
Yes.
So we kind of get the first thing that sets Cooper on his case.
Right.
Concerning the murders here. So he's kind of been. This is after Chet has vanished. So here's Cooper taking over. And yeah, he gets basically his first real lead.
Yes, he does. And Sam makes a point of showing him that machine he was carrying all around Washington and saying, you can't find anything without one of these. Right. Well, Cooper in the first episode of Twin Peaks is obviously in another small town with another small town morgue and its technology, but
Yep.
Cooper knows what he's looking for. So Cooper knows to look.
Yes.
That's why he finds the R.
Yeah. So I think this scene I think could have been in there because it does kind of flow into why Cooper took over what happened when Cooper took over for Chet.
I think so too, and it also shows you that it shows you Cooper's interaction with Sam that would have led him to say, go to Albert and his team, don't go to Sam.
Yeah.
I think
it does fill in a gap.
Albert can find anything. He just doesn't necessarily, I don't get the impression that Albert knows what to do with what he finds. So he's good at finding the information, but I don't think he knows where to go from there.
Right. But that's okay because Cooper, he's the one that kind of connects the dots.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right. So next scene is Buenos Aires.
Look out.
Yep. Above the convenience store. So we have Philip Jeffries in the lobby of the hotel in Buenos Aires, the Palm Deluxe.
Palm Deluxe.
And the concierge gives him a key. Now, interestingly, after you've watched The Return, Jeffries asks if there's a Miss Judy at the hotel.
A Miss Judy at the hotel, yes.
Yes, so we are going to talk about Judy a little bit here. Concierge responds by giving him a letter the young lady left, whoever the young lady is.
We never find that out.
No, we don't. And yeah, we don't know if he's talking about Judy or someone else entirely.
Judy or... This would have been 1988, so
yeah.
I have no idea who this could possibly be.
Exactly. We kind of cut away to the convenience store meeting, where we have the arm, better known as the little man from another place.
Yes.
Where the arm says, the chrome reflects our image. From pure air we have descended.
Right. Now, this is what I want to talk about right here.
Yeah, okay.
And these are scenes that I think would have been good in the movie. First of all, any more David Bowie would have been fabulous. I would have taken any David Bowie.
Can never have enough David Bowie.
No, you really cannot. This scene I thought was interesting, considering what we saw in episode 8 of The Return.
Right.
Where they do come from air. They are sent from the lodge in this ethereal...
Spiritual
fog.
Other dimensional, yeah.
Right. It's, that it sort of filters down. So I thought that was a very interesting comment that he made on that.
Well, the comment that I think is really interesting here is where he says, after he says from pure air going up and down, he says, intercourse between the two worlds.
Yeah.
So essentially he's talking about the bridge between these two worlds.
I'm going to eat Fry's lower horn.
Yeah. And then we have a black woodsman who, now that we know what the woodsmen are.
Right.
He says animal life.
Mm-hmm. He's also the one that says electricity. That's
I kind of thought it was that guy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's that guy.
And then we have Bob, who says, and I kind of like this quote from Bob, I have the fury of my own momentum.
And he does, because he is sent to Earth from the
from the experiment.
From the experiment in his own dirty smoke with Garmin Bozia all mixed up in it. He's his own thing.
Yeah, so I kind of love that. I kind of like this quote from Bob. I think it's very fitting and descriptive.
I do too.
I do too. So I kind of like that one. But so that's kind of cool to get those. We kind of get more with Jeffrey's rant in the FBI office.
The only thing I didn't like about this one, and I think it could have been put in there.
Right.
The only thing I didn't like about this one was him actually saying out loud it was above a convenience store.
Okay. You thought it was a little too on point or on the nose?
I felt like it was a little too on the nose, but then again, the only reason we know that is because of The Return. So I think I'm seeing it a little bit with Return clouds over my eyes.
Yeah.
I think maybe in 92 that would have been...
I think it would have been helpful to understand more.
Yeah.
because
like,
there was that comment in the original series, like they lived above a convenience store.
Mike and Bob, yes.
Yeah, when Mike was kind of channeling in front of Harry and Cooper and whatnot,
right?
And Albert. So yeah, I think that would have gone a long way to kind of connect those two.
I think so too, and I think it would have been something that once we started seeing it in the return, we would have been like, oh yeah, that's right, because that doesn't look like it's above at a convenience store. Just from, I mean, would you expect above a convenience store to look like?
I would think just like the attic of a convenience store,
like somebody's ratty kitchen. I would expect that. I don't expect there to be Formica tables above convenience stores all the time.
No, unless this was like an old building where like maybe they had like a meeting room or something up top.
Or it was one of those things where it was like a general store and the owner lived above it.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing, but it was, they didn't talk about that. And at the time, in the 90s, convenience stores, we think of those as being connected to gas stations.
Yes.
So we don't have that sort of dust bowl image of the general store with the apartment above it kind of a thing.
Yeah. Certainly not like we were introduced to in The Return, which that kind of retro, like right next to a gas station kind of thing, that all in one encompassing service.
Okay. Right.
All right, so we've got Gordon saying, "Where the hell have you been, Jeffries?" And Philip says, "I sure as hell want to tell you everything, but I ain't got a whole lot to go on. But I will tell you one little itty-bitty thing. Judy is positive about this." What is she positive about? We have no idea.
Because we're still not going to talk about Judy.
We're still not going to talk. And Albert's like, how interesting. I thought we were going to leave Judy out of it.
Albert.
Which is a great Albertism.
Perfect Albertism, yes.
Yeah, and so basically they sit him down, and then Philip says, listen up, listen carefully. I've been to one of their meetings. It was above a convenience store. And Albert's like, okay, whose meeting? Where have you been?
Right.
Gordon says, Jeffries, you've been gone for damn near 2 years. And then Philip's like, well, it was a dream. We live inside a dream. Which is one of the best quotes ever from Twin Peaks.
And then we're like, oh, yeah.
Yep. And then Albert, perfect timing, says, and it's raining post-toasties.
Albert is such an ass.
Which is a really obscure reference to an old cereal, Post-Toasties.
Post-Toasties.
Post-cereal was like,
it was the corn.
Yeah, it's like Kellogg's or whatever of the day, Post.
Right.
And they
Post-Toasties were their version of cornflakes, which was copyrighted by Kellogg's.
Right. So it was pretty fun. So that was pretty funny. Philip's great here. He's like, hell, God, baby, damn, no.
Which I think we need to start saying.
Right. I think I need to put that on one of the audio clips on my phone.
That needs to be on a T-shirt too. Exactly.
Hell, God, baby, damn, no. I found something in Seattle at Judy's, and then there they were, and they sat quietly for hours. I followed. And then he's like, puts his head on the desk, and he moans, kind of oddly, and he says, the ring.
Yep. This ring has more to it than we are even close to knowing.
Yeah. And then Gordon tells Albert, I'll take that second mineral water. So he gets Albert out of the room.
Yes.
And then he turns to Philip and says, Philip, let's calm down now and get this interesting story on paper.
Right.
Because, Gordon tries the phone, but the lights flicker, and then he's like, hello, get me some good news.
Give me some good news.
Which is a very David Lynch-ish quote.
It is.
Cooper, the device has gone faulty. Can anybody hear me? Mayday, Mayday. Which, if you've read The Secret History of Twin Peaks, Mayday from Major Briggs.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's right. Everything's connected.
It's all connected, people.
Don't ever think that there's something in Twin Peaks that did not have a lot of thought behind it, because you would be wrong.
Even if you have no idea, like if it's ever going to get a payoff,
wait.
It's there.
Just wait.
It will. Just wait long enough. Something will happen. Somebody will connect it.
Somebody will connect it. It'll be fun.
So Philip says, and this is where I think he kind of realizes that he's time traveling here. He says May, because he starts off repeating May Day. He goes May, February, 1989.
Yes, but it's 1988.
Right, it's 1988. It hasn't happened yet. And Gordon says, "What? Am I alone in here?" And he looks over. He's gone.
He's gone.
And the last thing we hear is just Cooper going, "What?" That's it.
Yeah. Right, and he does still come in and look at Cooper and say, "Who do you think that is there?" So we still get the idea that Cooper is not what he seems.
Right. And then we go inside Bob's mouth for some reason.
That's good.
Yeah, that's not good. Because dude, seriously, tartar control. Check into it.
Well, that's the thing. It's when you're an evil entity born of vomit, there are some things...
Well, all that Garmonbozia leaves a stain.
Seriously.
Right. Get some Crest White strips or something. Come on.
Something. Yeah.
So then we see Jeffries teleport onto the staircase in Buenos Aires.
Right, with the scorch marks.
Yeah, and he's like in severe pain. And then he sees like there's a maid in front of him stumbling away while a porter proclaims he has soiled himself.
Yes.
And while he's asking where Jeffries went. And he screams, Ayúdame, or Ayúdame, something like that. It's Spanish for help me, over and over as Jeffries starts screaming again.
Yes. And then Jeffries just goes up and kind of goes up in smoke.
And then we're like, David Bowie, come back. We need you.
Yes.
Yeah. So, side note, I saw a David Bowie shirt at Hot Topic while I was shopping for my nieces. This close to buying it.
Oh, I don't close your fingers, Charles, and go back and get it.
Tempting. It was very tempting.
I know, right?
It was a pretty cool shirt too. I should have got it, but I got something else, another shirt instead, which I am going to surprise on you at some point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, mystery. Ooh, suspense.
Very excited.
Yeah, I think you'll get it. I appreciate it because as a Ferris Bueller fan, you should appreciate it.
Did you get the Sausage King of Chicago shirt?
No, something else.
Something else. Gotcha.
Something else. So next scene is Mike is the man.
Mike is
the man.
The man.
And this is just basically an extended version of the Bobby and Mike scene.
But this one lets you know that Mike is in on this drug ring that they've got going on.
Yeah, because they talk about like giving they owe Leo $5,000.
Right.
And they need their cocaine supplies running low. So.
Right. So we know that Mike is in on this too.
Right.
See, that's another thing about Dr. Hayward. Even though he doesn't like Mike, he tries to be nice to him for Donna's sake. He's really nice.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. He's not one of those guys like, well, I don't know. Maybe he would be. And maybe he's given Mike the "you hurt my daughter, I'm going to break you in half" speech.
Right. Seriously, you hurt her, I'll kill you and make it look like an accident.
I'm a doctor. I could kill you and get away with it.
Exactly. I'll do your autopsy and say it was natural causes.
Exactly.
And everyone will believe me.
Yep. You know that promising football career? Well, hey, I could cut your tendon and you'd be done, son.
Then you're done, and you have to go, I don't know, sell cars.
Yeah. Oh, wait, that's what happened.
Oh, wait a second.
Yep. So maybe Doc Hayward did cut his tendon.
We don't know what happened. I mean,
that would be pretty funny.
Yeah. I mean, we know that
it'd be very fitting, but
although he wound up killing Benjamin Horne, but that doesn't mean he didn't mess with Mike a little bit.
Yeah, there's obviously a dark side to Doc Hayward.
There's still some stuff about that we're not sure about.
Yeah, and especially after you've read the final dossier.
Right, that's true. There's
some stuff there too. All right. Next scene is school books, where we have Laura running down the stairs to discover after discovering someone ripped pages from her diary. I wonder who it could be.
I don't know. And then her mother's coming in with groceries, and so she's helping her mom. Can I borrow the car? And so she runs out and is gone for a while because she goes over to Harold's house.
Probably from that same grocery store that we saw her in The Return.
Right, where she's just buying liquor.
Yes. and like getting all kind of upset about the beef jerky.
What did she ask about it? Like, is it organic or something like that?
Something like that.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I forget. Um, but I guess Laura asked to use the car, claiming she forgot her books. Sarah gives her the keys and takes away her cigarette, warns her about smoking.
Yes.
Which,
if you don't, you won't be a smoker if you don't start.
Right. Look at your mom.
Yeah.
She's like 5 packs a day.
Because if I had a nickel for every cigarette your mom smoked,
right,
I'd be dead.
Exactly. So next scene is the Palmers, where we kind of talked about this. But I did love the moment where Leland comes down the stairs and he's stomping around like he's a big lumberjack guy.
Yep, he's just stomping.
Hello, Sarah. Hello, Laura. Where's my axe? I'm hungry. Which is just great, very wise.
And it's like, part of you wonders, like, you think about this in any other situation, you're like, wow, this is like the goofiest dad I've ever seen on TV. And then other part of you knows, like, oh, this is not really him. It's like, it's just anytime he does anything weird and goofy dad, like, it's just scary because you know it's probably Bob.
Right, and it makes it all the more tragic because you know that there's that darkness underneath.
Right.
So it's like he starts off with like being wacky sitcom dad.
Uh-huh.
And then he's like, okay, I'm the special guest villain on Criminal Minds this week.
And then he's like horrifying too many cooks dad.
Yeah.
Like, just really scary.
Yeah. So, but then, again, this was a great scene. Oh, and let's see.
But here's another thing about this scene that I really liked.
Yeah.
What's Laura eating?
Oh.
Or more importantly, what's she not eating?
Oh, is it broccoli? Or no, asparagus.
Yeah.
Asparagus again. Asparagus again for dinner. I hate asparagus.
Does that mean I'll never grow up?
Yep. Next scene is...
I loved that. I loved that little nod.
Yeah, that was great.
To the diary.
Next scene is a quick one with called Laura's Party, where she sneaks out of the house and meets a trucker and exchanges sex for drugs.
Yes.
So, because that's how she bartered.
And who was that trucker?
Good question. I don't know.
It looked like Brad Dourif, but I forgot to check.
Was it Brad Dourif? I didn't.
It looked like him.
I'll have to check.
But I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong.
I couldn't place that guy, but maybe you're right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't put it past, that being Brad Dourif, so you could be right on that. Next one's called 2x4, which is this really odd scene where Del Mibbler, that old guy from the Twin Peaks Savings Alone.
Oh, yes.
The guy that walks at like 0.0000001 miles an hour.
With the Harry Carey glasses?
Yes.
Yeah.
So anyway, he shows up at the Packard Sawmill and he's complaining to Josie and Pete that their 2x4s are not exactly 2 inches by 4 inches.
And Josie does not understand that that's like normal.
Right, but Pete's there. Pete understands.
She's like, Pete, I don't know what happened. I don't know why this is happening. And he's like trying to explain it. And then eventually he says, at your bank, is $1 worth what it used to be? And then he's just sort of like, I'm sorry.
Light bulb.
Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, we have pierced the void.
Yes. Again, the scene was adorable and funny and would not have detracted from the movie, but I don't necessarily think it added to it.
No. I would have liked it if only just to get Pete Martell in the movie. Just
to get more Pete Martell. Anytime there's more Pete Martell is a good time.
He was always one of my favorite characters on Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
So it's so disheartening to know that he passed away before he could come back in The Return, because I would have loved to have seen him in The Return. All right. Next scene is Kind of Quiet, where we have kind of an extended scene in the Double R Diner with Laura helping out with the Meals on Wheels.
Yes.
And we see Heidi. We see Heidi with a bloody nose.
Heidi has a bloody nose. Yeah, she had that in the movie too.
Oh, that's right. Okay, but we get a little bit more of that. And Ed and Nadine come in for coffee, but as soon as they walk in, Nadine sees Norma working the counter, and she gets all pissy and runs out.
I don't want coffee anymore. And you just want to say, Nadine, who the hell did you think was going to be there?
And
Nadine owns that place.
And Ed's just like...
Norman owns that place.
Yeah, and Ed's just like, we got here. There's like 3 waitresses, and she's one of them. Of course we're going to see her.
Yeah, exactly. We live in Twin Peaks together. All of us are still here. Come on.
Come on, where are we going to go? It's not like we have a McDonald's, apparently. So,
only place anybody eats in this town that I've ever seen.
Yeah, exactly. So Shelley sees Laura staring at the place where Mrs. Tremond and her grandson were standing. Laura runs away, and then Shelley goes back in the diner. And then Norma sent Shelley to go do Laura's route because she took off.
Right, Laura just took off.
Yep. And then the cook, I can't remember his name, he peeks in and he talks about how the diner's quiet because there's like nobody in the diner.
Yes.
And Norma's breaking down because, like, hey, her business is apparently failing.
Right, nobody's in there and she doesn't have Ed.
Right.
And then Ed comes back and, oh my God, do I love Ed so much. He's so sweet.
Yeah, he apologizes to her.
He apologizes to her. He's just trying to do the right thing by everybody, and it's so hard for him.
Yeah. He's like, come on, you see what I got here.
See what I have to work with here.
Yeah, you see what I have to work with, Mr. Napier. Yep.
The nerves went completely severed, Mr. Napier.
Mirror! And every time I hear that, I think of Lisa Simpson.
Oh, totally. Totally.
Where she's got the braces, the old, like...
Dental plan.
Lisa's got braces. Or Lisa needs braces. Yeah, Lisa needs braces.
Dental plan. Don't start this with me.
I know. Yeah, we'll totally go down the Simpsons rabbit hole. But that's one of my favorite all-time Simpsons scenes.
Absolutely.
Okay, we talked about the best friend scene, so we'll skip that. And we kind of talked about the I'm the Muffin.
Yes, I'm the Muffin
scene, so we can skip that. Now, we did get a longer scene of Cooper with the Man from Another Place. With they kind of interact more than they did in the final cut. The little man introduces the ring to Cooper and poses the question, is it future, or is it past?
Is it past?
And we're just like, if you've watched The Return, you're just like, whoa.
You're like, what the what?
Yeah, you start channeling your best Keanu Reeves and go, whoa.
Yeah, you're just left going, oh. And this again, I think if this had been in the original, would have blown our minds when we saw
The Return.
I totally. But now, agree. Because The Return, it's blowing our minds now that we're seeing it as the missing pieces. Because when I saw this as the missing pieces, I just thought, whatever, it's more Man from Another Place and Cooper. We'll just watch it. Yep. But now when I saw it again, I'd forgotten that. I'd forgotten about it. And I saw it again. I was like, what?
Yep.
So, yeah, that was something else.
Which is why it's great to watch these after you watch The Return. Because you pick up on so much more.
And that's one of the neat things about Twin Peaks, that the further you go and then revisit, the better your revisiting is going to be, which is a different model for a lot of narrative storytelling.
Because obviously, when these missing pieces were first on the entire mystery set, this was before The Return. So we're just like, whatever. Just more like, little man from another place nonsense. But now we're just like, it's all timey-wimey.
Oh, it's all wibbly-wobbly. It all goes together. It all makes sense now.
Yeah, pretty much.
And that's the thing. It does just makes everything. It doesn't necessarily make sense, but it comes together. It all connects to itself.
And then David Tennant shows up, and it's just everything goes.
It's just fantastic.
It's all a thing. All right, next scene. Bob speaks through
Actually,
Laura.
that would be Christopher Eccleston.
Oh, I see what you did.
Because I said fantastic.
Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic.
You know something? You were fantastic. And you know what?
So was I.
Yep. Yes, you were, Christopher Eccleston. I love you.
Yeah, you should have come back for the 50th.
Yep.
One of these days, Eccleston, bang zoom right to Gallifrey. Yeah.
Right to Gallifrey.
All
That's
right.
it. Back to Winnipeg.
There you go. So the next scene is Bob speaking through Laura and the blue sweater.
Holy crap, was this scene terrifying when Laura is just standing there looking at the fan and smiling.
That scene, yes, and I
God.
totally agree. The first time I saw this, when I was going through the missing pieces on the entire mystery, I'm just like, oh my God, why was this not used? Because this scene, definitely that had to be in there.
That should have been there, and I think that was.
It's so damn creepy, and this smile, this slow build into a creepy smile. As she's kind of like looking she's got this grin that it's being forced on her, like she's resisting against it, but she can't help it.
Right.
Like Bob's making her do this, and it's just like this big forced grin on her face.
It's like she's going down the street and she's trying not to smile.
Nice.
And the yell will last forever. But I love this. Sort of reminded me of. So
you've got a real indication that there's a laugh coming on.
I got a real indication. And
that's a Twin Peaks soundtrack nod. If you're
the Firewalk
with Me soundtrack, yeah.
And that her smile reminded me of the Black Hole Sun video, which to this day creeps me the heck out. I can't. That video is weird. If you guys haven't seen the
Soundgarden.
When I just said it, the Black Hole Sun by Soundgarden. They're digitally altered eyes and smiles, but they're very creepy. And this was not digitally altered, and it was.
No, this is pure Sheryl Lee, and it's just
Sheryl Lee is unbelievable. Yeah. And I thought one of the things I thought was interesting about the sweater scene was Laura, did you take my blue sweater again, Mom?
You're wearing it.
What are you wearing? And then she looks down and she starts to cry and she says, "It's happening again."
Now that is interesting after you watch the return. After you watch the return, because you're like, "Oh, was that Judy?"
And remember, she, spoiler alert for next episode.
Yeah.
That it is in fact Sarah Palmer as a girl in 1955.
I haven't read that far yet. Oh, curse you!
Yes, you have.
I haven't. I've only gotten halfway through the book.
Sorry, spoiler alert.
Yep.
So we know that.
Curse you!
Things happen to her. Yeah. Okay. Well, fine. Just tease me with the Blu-ray that I don't have. Why don't you?
I couldn't resist. Sorry.
That's fine. But yeah, spoiler alert. We do know that is in fact Sarah Palmer.
Which, as we theorized.
Yes. And so things have been going on with her for a while, where she just passes out and maybe doesn't know what she's doing, maybe doesn't remember things,
which kind of explains why she drinks and smokes so heavily.
Well, definitely drinks. Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. So, but yeah, what is happening again, and what happened to her before? That makes me very curious about Sarah Palmer.
Right. So now, we need that season 4 so bad.
Yes, we do.
All right.
Come on, David Lynch and Mark Frost.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Next scene is Sunday at the Johnsons. So while everybody's at church on Sunday, Leo's showing Shelley the correct way of cleaning the floor.
I'm going to show you how to clean this floor, and then you're going to do it.
You got to get down and,
You got to scrub.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't even think about going anywhere. I'm not finished with you.
Yeah, so this is just an extended scene. Next scene is Smash
First
Up.
thing is to have a good attitude. That's the key. Anybody will tell you that.
You do that so uncomfortably well.
Well, and I think this would have benefit also from being longer in the actual movie, because this was another one that sort of felt tacked on to me. Like, oh, Madchen and Eric wanted to be in the movie, so here you go.
Yeah.
So it was. It does advance the plot of.
Well, it shows how abusive Leo is and whatnot.
Right, and I'm looking for Santa Claus and all that stuff, but I think the longer version of it gave you a little bit. It felt less tacked on being longer. It felt a little more deliberate, I think.
Right, it felt more natural, like it flowed better. Next scene is Smash Up, where we have Norma and Ed sitting in a truck, Kissing.
I loved this scene so much.
Because we never really get to see, like, Norma and Ed. We don't get to see them that much actually being together alone.
Well, and I love the idea that they're still sort of star-crossed teenagers. They still have to sneak out in his car.
Right.
I think that's adorable.
And then Ed ends up taking a breathalyzer because apparently he's too hammered to drive. And
yes,
so they're like, okay, I guess we have to wait this out. Gee darn. And they turn to the radio and they're listening to the Fire Walk With Me theme.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah. While they're talking about the relationship. So
yes.
So I thought, yeah, any chance you get more of Big Ed and Norma, especially now that we know that they actually got the payoff.
They did. They did.
I've been loving you.
Oh, and spoiler alert.
Yeah.
They did.
Yep. You're happy about that.
So happy for Norma and Ed. Oh my God.
Those crazy kids. All right. Next scene is The Power and the Glory, where we have Laura and Donna riding in a speeding car, arriving with their hookups at the Power and the Glory bar near the border. And this is where Donna sees Laura snorting coke, I think, for the first time.
I think so, yes. From the look on her face, it looks like she's
she freaks,
trying to have a poker face.
Yeah, she kind of freaks out about it a little bit, and Laura's like, "You're such a downer, Donna."
A downer.
Yep. And so they go inside, and there's like, it's a room that has Canada and US of effing A.
Yes.
Above the bar.
That is so funny.
Yep. And so, now interestingly, this scene actually like makes it a little more clear that the pink room scene was not actually at the Roadhouse. Because it was a little.
I always got that it wasn't.
Yeah, see, I thought it was a little, like some people got it confused. I kind of thought it was somewhere else too because it just didn't look like the Roadhouse. But
it looks like it could be like the champagne room of the Roadhouse or something. But this definitely makes it more obvious that this is a completely different bar.
It's the VIP room.
No. It's the VIP room.
Yeah. And
if you know what, and if it's Jacques Renault deciding who's a VIP or who isn't, it's not a VIP room.
No.
Just FYI.
It's a DOA room.
Mm-hmm.
Not a VIP room.
Or you're going to be sweeping just all night.
But hey, it's to Booker T and the MGs, or what? No.
That's fine. Yeah, it's Booker T and the MGs.
Okay. I thought, all right. I wasn't sure.
Yep, you got it.
I was trying to remember that off the top of my head. I couldn't remember.
Good job.
All right. Pulled that one out of my butt. So next scene is Fire Walk With Me, where it's a cool scene. I kind of wish they would have kept this one in because it's pretty brief. Mike is sitting with his shirt off in his motel room. This is Michael Gerard, the one-armed man. Or Philip Gerard, excuse me.
Philip Gerard.
And he's unlighting.
Mike Lydecker.
Yes, Mike Lydecker, thank you. Yes. Shoe salesman. /
the arm / the man from another place /
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, but I've just always called him Philip Gerard.
Yeah. So anyway, Mike is unlighting a circle of candles.
No, it's Bob Lydecker, isn't it?
Oh, yes, Bob Lydecker.
Bob Lydecker.
So it's
just about my best friend in the whole world.
Right.
Well, what's Mike's name? All right. Something for us to look up later.
Yeah. Okay. So to be continued on that one, but yeah, they're doing like a reverse video of him lighting these candles, so that now it looks like he's unlighting them.
Right.
Which I thought it looks really cool reversed. And of course he's saying backwards. He's saying "Fire Walk With Me."
Yes.
But so that's kind of cool. So I just thought visually it looked cool.
I think it was visually cool as well. Yeah. It looked really nice.
And it just kind of reminds you that, hey, Mike's out there doing stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Mike's still there.
Whatever purpose that was, we have no idea. Next scene is Party Girl, and this is after reading about her in Flesh World. Leland calls up Teresa Banks.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, hey, I saw you in Flesh World. All creepy. And she invites him to room 123. Shouldn't be too hard to remember that. At the Red Diamond City Motel, but Leland, of course, looks inside, sees Laura, so he takes off, as we
His
know.
cold feet. Right, and here we see, now Jacques told us about this later, that she called asking about their fathers, but
Right.
we see her calling, asking about what Laura Palmer's father looks like and what Ronette's fathers look like. And this is probably what gets her killed, is her
Yes. Because
trying to blackmail.
she basically calls him up in the suspicion that Laura's father is in fact her John.
Right.
And and then of course it confirms it. So she's like basically she's like, oh, I'm going to try and blackmail you. And this basically kind of seals her death warrant, I think.
I think so. I think this is exactly what got her killed, because I think she would have just been kind of off the radar.
Yeah. And this Leland, of course, gets this real ragey Bob face.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but this I think probably would have been nice to have that in there.
I think so too.
Yeah. Oh, and of course we kind of get to see what happened after Leland took off. So
right.
We have Teresa going to Laura and Ronette, and they kind of have a threesome.
They have like a little threesome because they still got the money, even though they didn't do anything.
Yeah, we got paid, so at least Leland wasn't a dick. He didn't stiff him.
Yeah, he still got the money.
He still paid him. But and then we get another shot of the ring.
Mm-hmm.
Because she kind of brushes her hair, and it's like, hey, look, there's the ring that everybody's all worried about.
Yeah.
Next scene is Don't Forget / Laura's Secret Stash. Not Jay and Bob's Secret Stash.
Laura's Stash.
Yeah, so Leland reminds Laura that, hey, it's Johnny Horn's birthday. And we see Laura and Sarah sitting at a table silently.
Actually, I take it back. I think this is the asparagus.
Okay.
Still, but there's a scene where she's eating asparagus at dinner, and I think that was cute.
And then Laura snorts the last of her stash.
Right, there's a little bit more of a production of her doing that this time around, which I thought was interesting.
Right. So, it's just more like an extended cut, I think.
Right.
Next scene is Bernie the Mule, where we finally get to see, like, Harry and Andy and Hawk in Firewalk with Me, which would have been nice.
Yeah, to see them.
So they're basically, all they're doing, though, they're trying to set up a trap for Bernard Renault.
Oh, Bernard is such an idiot.
Yeah, pretty much. Andy says that Bernie's coming in on foot. Harry confirms this. And then Harry asks if they will, I guess, this means, or Andy asks, or wait, okay, hold on. Harry asks if Andy means that they're going to have a lot of paths to cover. And Andy says, well, like, we're just going to have a lot of walking to do.
Right, and I think this is just another illustration of Andy sort of
not getting it.
He's not a bad cop, but he just sort of only takes the obvious.
Yeah.
And this is an interesting scene too, and I would have liked to have been included because of Lucy doesn't understand the intercom either.
Oh yeah, that's what happens in this too. Yes.
Lucy, they're talking.
So now after the return, because
are you there? And then he shows up. Ah!
Yeah.
So and then Andy hears her, and he comes running out, and she comes running, and then they see each other, and then they both sort of startle each other. So not only does she not understand cellular phones, she doesn't understand the intercom system.
Yeah. So that was so that's kind of fun. Because and obviously it was kind of cool that Lynch brought that back for the return.
Right, and I think it was a good thing that he brought it back because it makes Lucy's killing Doppelganger Cooper so much more of a victory for Lucy.
Right.
Because she's had this problem forever.
Yeah, this isn't anything new, apparently.
She's never been able to quite understand this concept.
Yeah.
So.
All right, next scene is I Killed Someone. So this is after the day that the drug deal went south. Bobby,
we get a little bit of this in the original movie where it's just Laura and Bobby on the couch making out.
Yeah.
But this time you see...
Yeah, they're basically at her locker. And I guess Bobby's telling her to hide the $10,000 in her safety deposit box.
Oh, right. This is the locker. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm skipping. I'm thinking this is her in his basement.
No. That's coming up though. And this is Laura again mocking Bobby.
Right. You killed a guy.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just like, shut up.
He's like, yeah, I did for you to do coke. You better fucking shut your mouth.
Right.
So
No gratitude. Zero gratitude.
No gratitude whatsoever.
No respect.
Yeah.
Next scene is the baby laxative. So.
Oh yes, the baby. Kill the guy for baby laxative.
So this is basically Bobby losing his shit over like inspecting the cocaine bag while he's out in the woods and realizing it's baby laxative, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
And he dumps it all out, but then he gets it all over his legs.
It's all over the place.
That was pretty funny.
That was pretty good.
Like, you're really not thinking this out, bro. Next scene is
whatever happened with that guy. Like, did he ever show up as missing? I mean, what the heck happened with that dude?
Yeah, nobody noticed. Somehow Bobby was able to sweep that under the rug.
Well, I think it was he was probably Canadian. Yeah. So it's probably something that the Canadian police are looking into and not necessarily thinking, well, why would he go to this small town? Or I don't know.
Maybe they figured somebody else killed him. Who knows? Bobby got away with it.
They're probably looking for Leo.
Yeah. Or one of the Renaults or something.
Or one of the Renaults. Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, hey, there's like 5,000 Renaults. One of them probably killed this guy.
One of them, yeah. Probably Bernard's going to take the fall for this one. That'd be fine. He's an idiot.
It was like Ezekiel Renault or whatever. Yeah. Zebediah Renault. So this is next one's Send Me a Kiss, and this is kind of creepy.
This is the creepiest, and especially watching this after the current month we've been having when it comes to
yes. Now that you put that in that context, yes.
Matt Lauer and Charlie Rose and Garrison Keillor,
fill in the blank.
Yeah, and whoever, take your pick. So just sort of seeing this as, Dr. Jacoby's calling Laura at home, and
I mean, we knew Jacoby was kind of creeping on his patient, Laura, but here
it's just uncomfortable because not only is he creeping on her, he's like really bad at it.
Yeah. Well, he makes this point of like, he's kind of like going, look, you should be you haven't been calling me.
Yeah, he's like some like weird, creepy secret boyfriend or something. It's like, dude.
And then Laura knows that she's got him wrapped around her finger.
Oh, Laura knows that about him.
So she has like zero respect for the guy.
Right.
And she says, well, okay, maybe I'll make some tapes for you.
Mm-hmm.
Which of course we find out she does make some tapes.
Yep.
And in the ultimate creepy moment, Jacoby tells her to send him a kiss.
Gross.
Ew.
Oh, Jacoby.
And she goes to snort the last line of cocaine, but then she gives it up. She doesn't snort it.
Right.
So either maybe I'll save that for later, or who knows?
Yeah, I think it's a save it for later thing.
But yeah, Jacoby. Jeez. And this next scene is the asparagus.
Is that the next scene? Okay.
That's the next scene. So so we have Laura eating dinner with a mother. So she's like, I don't want to eat the asparagus. So we got that nod to the diary.
Yep.
And Sarah tells her that Leland's staying late with Ben to work on the plan for the Norwegians.
Mm-hmm.
Laura tells her that she's going to Bobby's to do homework. Sarah tells her it's a school night, but, be back by 9. Right?
Yep.
And after Laura leaves the room to put away her dishes, Sarah lights right up. Gets a cigarette.
I kept expecting her to take her face off, just...
Yeah, now that we've watched The Return, you're just like, yeah... Do you really want to F with this?
Yeah, exactly. But how much is... What is going on with Sarah Palmer? I feel like that could be a completely different series.
Yeah. It seems
Palmer, Frosty,
like this could be like just a parallel series to what was going on in Twin Peaks. And,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Is it like, maybe, okay, if Grace Zabriskie couldn't do it, somebody needs to recast the role, somebody do this. because it needs to be done.
I would not want to see it if it wasn't Grace Zabriskie.
Really?
I'll be honest.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to see it.
You don't think anybody else could do it justice, and I kind of agree with you, by the way.
I don't think anybody else could have done it justice because she's such a good actress and she has such intense eyes.
Right.
That I wouldn't want to see somebody else. I mean, I hate to say it, but as jarring as it is to see somebody else playing Donna Hayward, that's okay. She's not a very intense character.
No.
But Sarah Palmer is, and I think she benefits from Grace Zabriskie.
Yeah. And it's a credit to Grace Zabriskie that she is that kind of irreplaceable. I totally agree.
Oh yeah.
All right. Next scene is Bobby and Laura in the basement.
Right.
So
this is that I was getting confused.
Yeah. So we had Major Briggs reading to his wife Betty from the Book of Revelation because, as you do in Twin Peaks, apparently.
As you do. Yeah.
So just kind of showing that kind of disconnect between the parents and their kids.
Definitely, and especially
with
in this situation. Well, I think it's tenfold for the Briggs family because Major Briggs is so strict and militaristic.
Right.
But he also knows what's going on. But he has no idea that it's going on with Laura, that Laura and Bobby are experiencing some of this. He has no idea that what's going on is happening right.
He's so kind of wrapped up in his own, I don't want to say drama, but just more like his own thing.
His own thing. Yeah, exactly.
His own world, I should say.
And it's almost like he leaves work at work and comes home and home is home.
Yeah.
And never the twain shall meet. And I think that's preventing him from seeing what's right in front of him.
Right. He's just so old school and traditional, or at least tries to be.
Right.
And as a result, there's just this big disconnect between him and Bobby.
Exactly.
So Bobby reveals to Laura that the cocaine they supposedly picked up was baby laxative.
Baby laxative.
Yep, and Laura's kind of freaking at this moment. She's like, "What?"
I need cocaine.
Like, douchebag says, "What?"
Yeah. I need cocaine.
Yeah.
Yay.
Cocaine.
I hear it's somebody's birthday.
I'm
Dr. Roxo.
Nice. And then Pam Poovey shows up. Cocaine.
And eats all of the cocaine.
Yay! Cocaine.
But yeah, so it's a little bit of a more extended scene of them talking about it's not
wearing the Archer shirt or the Cooper.
Yes, I see you're wearing your Archer Cooper shirt. That's nice.
Yeah. Couldn't resist.
But this is an extended scene of where Bobby is realizing that Laura doesn't love him; she loves the drugs.
Right.
And he doesn't even care. He just loves her so much.
Exactly. He's just like, I know she doesn't love me. I know it's all about the drugs for her, but I need her so much because I'm in love with her. That I'm
He's like
willing to put up with it. So there's like no self-respect here at all.
I don't know if it's that or if it's that everybody loves Laura. That Laura just has that effect on people. Even Doc Hayward. Right. Why is it I don't allow smoking in my house, but I let you smoke here?
Yep. That's a good point.
She has a spell on people. It doesn't, and I think Bobby, I don't think it's a lack of self-respect. I think it's he just is so enchanted by Laura that it doesn't matter. As long as he gets to be around her and be with her, he's happy.
Okay. So he's just so under her spell.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I think so.
All right. So I guess after he and Laura officially break up, Laura leaves his house, and he lights up a cigarette, of course, even though his father told him to put it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bobby goes off, still smoking the cigarette, and Major Briggs goes back to reading the Bible because he's such a party.
He is a party, yeah.
Yeah.
His parents, can you imagine their dating life must have been crazy.
Yeah. Can't imagine why Bobby's the way he is.
Right.
All right. Next scene is Goodnight Lucy.
Oh, yes. Goodnight Lucy.
Yeah. And not Goodnight Margaret, thankfully. But
yes.
So Lucy calls Harry and Andy in the interrogation room, and this is where she kind of has her intercom trouble.
Right.
And she tells Harry that Josie Packard saw a prowler.
And he's like, well, gotta go check this out. And
Yep.
like, he might as well start combing his hair or something like that.
Exactly.
It's like, well, I gotta,
He's like, bow, chick, bow, wow.
Yeah. And he might as well have said, like, I think it's best I take this case alone, fellas. You might as well go home.
Let me splash on some cologne to go check out this prowler.
Let me go check out this prowler. Do I look okay?
Yep.
That's my hair.
Anything between my teeth? Okay, just checking.
Yeah. He's totally trying to play it off like, oh, well, just gotta do my job as the cop. But no, we know why he's going over there.
Gotta go serve and protect.
Yeah. Oh, I see what you did there.
See what I did. All right, so this is where Lucy gets freaked out when Harry appears at the front desk because she hasn't figured out intercom.
She doesn't get intercoms either.
Yep. So it's pretty funny. That was pretty funny, especially after we watched The Return, because it's like, oh, it's more of the same. And then Lucy realizes that Andy is no longer in the meeting room and runs to check on him, and then they collide, and Lucy freaks out.
Totally cute moment between them.
Yeah, so it's just like the cell phone reaction, pretty much. Next scene is waiting for James. So while sneaking out on the night of her death, Laura waits outside for James, and she watches Leland/Bob come home.
Right. And so she waits for him to go inside. She's like, go inside.
Yeah, this is a very tense moment, obviously.
Right. And then we know that even though he goes inside, he still sees her leave. Yeah. Because James...
And there's this moment where he's like looking right at her, and you're like, well, does he see her? Or is he just looking that direction? And she's kind of wondering that too.
Well, and you just want to say, James, could you tighten up the throttle a little bit on that? Could you be more obvious just roaring down the street on your bike? Seriously, there's 8 guys in this town that ride a motorcycle. One of them is in high school and is possibly dating Leland Palmer's daughter. Could you maybe be a little less conspicuous?
Yeah, he's like one of the motorcycle guys on South Park.
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, I always thought, James, shut up. Oh, my God. If you stop at the end and walk your bike to the, when you walk on a motorcycle, you're straddling it and walking with your tippy toes. Maybe do that, pick up Laura, and then start it back up again.
Exactly. Or just hey, park your bike, walk a little bit, come get Laura. You guys go back to the bike and take off.
And when she gets on it, don't rev the stupid thing.
Yeah.
Just go.
Well, he's trying to be badass. I mean, as badass as James gets. As
badass as James can possibly be. But he's just making problems. He's just borrowing trouble.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because as biker guys go, James is probably the least threatening biker guy ever.
Probably, yeah. Unless you're, I don't know. Because, there's not a lot of, if there are a lot of biker guys that hang around, coffee house libraries, I'm unaware of it.
Yeah.
But then again, I'm not into biker culture, so I wouldn't know.
Okay. Fair enough. Next scene is Distant Screams, where we have the log lady listening to Laura and Ronette's screams from the cabin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
not being able to do a damn thing about it.
We hear her tell of this in the original series.
The owls were silent.
This is us actually seeing it, and this is, again, another thing that I think should have been included in the final version of the film.
If nothing else, gets the log lady in the movie.
Heck yeah, it does.
Yeah, which is always a good thing.
Always a good thing.
All right. Next scene is Lonesome Foghorn Blows, where we have Laura's body floating up on the shore right outside the Packards. And this is just a few hours before Pete finds her. But apparently this is it's just kind of like an alternate shot, I think.
Right.
Okay. So
I think it's the same. It's more of the same.
Yeah. So no big deal there. Next scene is the epilogue, where lots of stuff goes down in this one.
Right.
So we get a shot of Glastonbury Grove with the title card or the subtitles. Some months later, picking up after the end of the final episode from the original series, where we get Annie rushed to the hospital. So she finally gets taken care of. Go ahead.
Right, and it says the same thing to the nurse that she says to Laura in Laura's dream.
Yes. So she kind of repeats that whole scene. So it's almost like from Annie's point of view.
Right.
Because I think that Annie was projecting backwards through time at that moment.
Right, I think so too. That it is a wibbly wobbly thing where, as she says it to the nurse, she's saying it to Laura, like 2 years prior.
Because she's kind of like acting like she's just kind of like almost catatonic as she says it.
Right, she's just staring off into the
space,
into the ceiling. And I think this is definitely a scene that I think should have been included.
Right.
Because I said for years I felt that scene was tacked on.
Yep.
And if I had seen this, I would have thought, oh my gosh, I would have thought the exact same thing. I would have thought she's projecting back into time to talk to Laura, and there's more to this, and it's more deliberate, and it makes more sense, and it would have felt less, Heather Graham wants to be in the movie, quick, write something down. So, and of course we know now after the return that there was a lot more to this scene, or there was a lot more to Annie talking to Laura than we originally thought.
Right.
But it took us 25 years to get there.
Yeah, this scene would be great if you did like an extended cut of the final episode from the original series.
Yes, that would have been great.
You know, like the whole scene with Cooper that we'll get into in a moment, where he's like, after he's been possessed by Bob and realizes it and smashes the mirror.
Slipped on the sink. Will you help me get
find out what happened after he smashed the mirror? I think this would be great for that.
That would have been great.
It'd be like a special. Somebody should do that as just a. You know,
come on, internet.
Yeah,
show
YouTube. Give me that extended cut, internet.
Yep.
Because I don't have time for it. If you notice, there's a little tidbit that Annie is wearing Caroline's dress when she checks into the hospital.
Right.
But remember, when she was taken to the lodge, she was wearing that black velvety gown.
Gold dress, yeah.
Yeah, from the Miss Twin Peaks competition.
Ooh wee! What's up with that?
Yep.
What's up with that?
Yeah. Nice Saturday Night Live reference.
Wearing Caroline's dresses. Mm-hmm.
And there's a scene where Cooper is talking to the man from another place again, where Cooper's asking where the ring is now, and the man from another place, the arm, says someone else has it now.
Mm-hmm.
And Cooper's like, Annie? He's like, oh crap.
He's like, oh no, I didn't quite think this through.
Holy crap. And so he's like, okay, where am I and how can I leave? And the arm's just kind of chuckling to himself, like, you are here. Now there is no place to go but home. And he starts laughing.
That's the thing. So where is home? Is home that outer space?
Welcome to the Hotel California.
You can check out anytime you like, but you can never leave.
Yeah, exactly. So we have the nurse who's tending to Annie. She steals that ring and then admires it in the mirror. Big mistake.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I'm kind of bummed that we didn't get to see the nurse in the return.
I'm wondering did she turn out to be somebody that, I don't know, maybe was one of the followers of the Zone blog.
Oh.
Or something like that.
That's a good theory. I like that. All right, there's more season 4 material right there.
Come on, Mark Frost, David Lynch. Let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. And then we talked about where that extended that part after what happens when Cooper hits his head in the mirror.
Right.
And then Cooper tells Harry, "It struck me as funny. Do you hear me, Harry? It struck me as funny." Yeah. Which there should have been a nice tip-off that, okay, Cooper's not right. Let's get him checked out.
But again, we have the same thing with Cooper that we had with Dougie. Right. You and I are watching Dougie and saying, why is everyone acting like this is perfectly normal? Right. But then we eventually find out that Dougie was in a bad car accident. So I think people are more understanding of his being quirky because he's still healing.
Right.
And I think that's the same thing that's going on with Cooper here.
So they're just kind of writing it off because he was in this weird experience.
Not only did he go into the woods, disappear, and then all of a sudden just show up, he just slipped, hit his head on the mirror. So not only did he have this weird supernatural thing happen to him, but he also had this head injury. So I think what they should have been seeing as warning signs were seen as, okay, we need to be treating a head trauma a different way. Right. And I think that in that scene with the It Struck Me as Funny, I think that Kyle MacLachlan did a fantastic job of taking a cue from Ray Wise as to how you act when you are possessed by Bob and Bob is trying to make you act normal.
Okay.
I think he took what Ray Wise did in his performance and ran with it. And, because It Struck Me as Funny is very much like, that kind of nonsense saying normal words.
Right. And just that kind of that I'm not me type of performance.
Right, exactly.
I'm someone else inside me. Yeah, that possessed.
Right. Again, with Leland, you have someone who everybody that we're seeing now knows Leland since he was possessed by Bob. So Leland's just kind of a quirky guy to them.
He's
never known.
He's a weird oddball, but
he's been possessed by Bob.
Just roll it. Just roll with it.
Yes, just roll with it. Yeah, he's fine. He's harmless.
Yeah. Now, to Harry's credit, though, he does try to suggest that they should go to a hospital because of his head injury.
Right.
And Doppelganger Cooper, now that we know it's Doppelganger Cooper and Bob inside him, it's kind of crowded in there. He says, but I haven't brushed my teeth yet.
Yeah.
Which apparently is the new ending to the original series, if you think about it, continuity-wise.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's where it ends. So, it's just kind of like, mohaha, to be continued.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously it is continued and then returns, but...
Because that's what he does in the original series. When he gets out of bed, he says, I have to brush my teeth.
I have to brush my teeth.
And that's why he goes in the bathroom in the first place.
Yeah. And then he squeezes that toothpaste tube out.
And breaks our collective hearts.
Yeah, we're like...
No.
No. Yeah. No. Ah, yeah.
No. Just like... And then you're like, I can't not look at it. Oh my God.
Yeah, it becomes the ultimate. Can you imagine if they had YouTube reaction videos back then?
Oh my God.
That would be the ultimate YouTube reaction video.
That crazy girl. Yeah.
That would be hilarious. All right, so that's it. That's all the missing pieces.
That's all the missing pieces.
The only thing we really have left is the interviews that with Sheryl Lee and Angelo Badalamenti. And then the Between Two Worlds, which is just stuff that was on the in the entire mystery set.
Right. Again, we have a little bit of a repackaging thing going on here, but I think it's nice that it's it's on its own thing.
Yeah. So the other thing I noted about the Sheryl Lee interviews, I noted that she's 50 years old and she's like really complimentary to Ray, Grace, and Angelo. And she obviously trusts David Lynch implicitly.
She absolutely does. And I loved her talking about she was hired to play Laura Palmer's corpse.
Right.
That's what she started out doing. And then when they decided to go further with the series and flesh out the character, David Lynch calls her and says, do you want to come back and be in the show? And she says, I can't, I'm dead.
Yeah.
Which I thought was, someone with that kind of dark humor wit is perfect to work with David Lynch, I think.
Yeah, totally agree. And then she talks about how difficult the pink room scene was, which understandably,
yes.
And how hard it was to let Laura go, because apparently they kind of became. I think maybe Sheryl Lee was like talking about method acting here, because that the two became so intertwined.
Well, and Sheryl Lee, we know it was hard to let all of us didn't want to let go of Laura. Right. So we can only imagine what it must have been like for you.
Yeah. And she talks about all those warning signs surrounding Laura, that people should have picked up on.
Yeah, exactly.
And this I thought was kind of helpful, is that where she talks about like all the women that have come up to her and shared their incest stories.
That is so wonderfully generous of Sheryl Lee to be available to listen to those things, because it's
so personal.
It's so personal, and I think having a story like Laura's to see, you can, if you have an experience like that, you can say, I can get out of this.
Right.
And not in the way that Laura does, but
no, I would hope
there are pitfalls. Right, there are pitfalls that Laura goes through that
I think it's kind of like a warning, like, hey, don't go down this road. If this has happened to you, exactly, the cautionary tale. That's a perfect way to phrase it, I think. Just like, hey, look, don't be like Laura.
Right.
Go out there and seek good, proper help.
Exactly. Go to a doctor who isn't going to get discredited in like 3 years after you start seeing him.
It doesn't ask you to like send you tapes with send you a kiss in the tapes. Ugh.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Don't.
Dr. Jacoby.
Yeah, you can do better than Dr. Jacoby is your therapist.
He needs to shovel his own shit. That's
pretty much.
Jeez Louise.
Pretty much. So anyway, that's the stuff I found was interesting about that.
Yes.
And then Angelo Badalamenti's interview I thought was kind of interesting, because he's talking about like Paul McCartney wanting Twin Peaks music at the Queen's birthday celebration at Buckingham Palace. Which is just so rock star to like, Paul McCartney wanted these Twin Peaks music for the celebration. And I'm just like, you just name check Paul McCartney, like, and the Queen celebration in one shot.
There was a CD put out a few years back called Bedtime with the Beatles.
Yeah.
It's similar to those Rockabye Baby instrumental lullaby versions of popular music and bands. But the guys who put it together said that they met Paul McCartney, and he told them that he really liked that project, and he just sort of sat in his house with a glass of wine and listened to that, and they're sort of like, Paul McCartney knows who we are.
Right. Exactly.
And that's the thing I can imagine. I mean, there are some people who are just, and I said this about William Shatner when I met him at a convention, for the 10 seconds I was there with him, that he's so famous, he's like meeting a statue, that it's almost not even like there's a person there. There's this persona that is so famous. And, Paul McCartney is one of those people. And anybody from the Beatles, actually, the band The Posies have a song that I really like called Golden Blunders.
Right.
Essentially about marrying too young. Your golden blunders are your wedding rings. And Ringo Starr covered that song. Like, he called them up like, hey, I want to put this song on my record. And they're like, you're Ringo? It's just completely, they're like, you can do whatever the hell you want. You are Ringo Starr.
Right. You get a pass. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. Or there's the, I don't remember if it was a Kennedy Center honors or what it was, but the people being honored were John Paul Jones and Robert Plant and Jimmy Page. And it was Led Zeppelin. And there's a performance during the ceremony, and it's Heart doing Stairway to Heaven.
Oh, wow.
And Ann Wilson is forever my hero, because she could still belt out Stairway to Heaven as good as Ann Wilson can do in front of Robert Plant, Jimmy Page, and John Paul Jones. I don't even think that I could be alive in front of Robert Plant.
That takes serious lady parts to do that.
Oh my God. I mean, I would just be, like I am right now, but just 10 times. I don't even know what I would say.
That's amazing.
So, but yeah, to be like, yeah, Paul McCartney Paul McCartney knows who I am. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So
I can just picture Paul like, now, Angelo, tell me, what is it about the Red Room that makes, just asking him, being a Twin Peaks fanboy, I just think it would be hilarious.
Angelo, small tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, and that's the thing about good musicians is that they are interested in all different kinds of sounds and music. And, I'll give that to Paul McCartney for being open to something different.
Well, you want Paul McCartney to be that kind of open to experimentation.
Right.
As far as, musical, like draw from all these different musical influences.
Right. That's why Neil Young is so amazing.
Yeah.
Because he's never going to be one to talk about, the crap that the young people are doing. He's like, all right, well, show me what you got, kids.
Yep.
So
anyway, so I thought that was kind of cool to be like, that's a pretty good anecdote.
Yes.
And then he talks about the Queen. Yeah, the Queen was apparently like, she had to go because it was time for her to watch Twin Peaks. So
that is awesome.
So the Queen Elizabeth II is a Peaks freak, apparently.
That is, I love it.
You're just like, wait, what? What?
There's more to her than meets the eye, I think.
I told Lori about this, and Lori's like a big Anglophile, at least as far as...
She's an Anglophile, isn't she? She's like all into the royal family and stuff? Yeah,
so it's, like she's piecing together all this English history with like the Tudors and, the TV show The Tudors. And, and the White Queen and the White Princess and she's watching Outlander and all this, and so it's just so I told her this and she's just like, really? I go, apparently so. So
maybe this will be the little push that Lori needs to finally watch Twin Peaks.
Well, no. She's watched Twin Peaks with me, but she's just never been into it.
But it's been like a grudging.
Yeah, it's one of those like she tolerated me.
She
did it for me.
For you, not because she's having fun.
No, exactly. So, and then he also talks about this song for Isabella Rossellini and Blue Velvet.
Oh, yes.
And that Lynch thought it was, quote, peachy keen. That's the ticket.
Oh my gosh, that is so Gordon Cole.
Yeah, pretty much. Those lines have to blur. So, I mean, it's just they're one. They're one character, really. It's
exactly.
Like this whole persona.
Yeah, Gordon Cole is David Lynch with a hearing problem.
Yeah. So and then he was talking about creating the Twin Peaks theme and Laura's theme, and you're just like, really? So
tell me more stories, Angelo.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought that was kind of cool. I was geeking out on that.
Oh yeah.
Anything else about this release you want to talk about that I've missed?
I don't think there is much else.
Okay. I thought I kind of ran it down. So I have two ratings here, one for the film and one for the Criterion release.
Okay.
So the film was what I gave before was 8 out of 10 blue roses.
Nice.
And the Criterion release, I'm going to give it 7 spoonfuls of creamed corn.
Oh, that's a good one. What should I give it? That's a really good question. I'll give it 7 bags of baby laxative.
Okay, very nice. So we're pretty in sync on that one then.
We are pretty in sync on that one. I feel like it, but the thing is, this is me from a standpoint of being only mildly sated from having more Twin Peaks recently.
Yes.
So I think if you had given me this 2 years ago, I'd have been like, oh my God, this is great. We got more stuff.
Yeah.
But now I'm just like, give me more. I want more. There's got to be more out there. And maybe it isn't. That's the thing. Maybe this is all that there is.
Let's hope not.
Yeah. Well, I just mean from back then. Like,
yeah.
Footage that we have.
Right.
So.
You figured this would have been it. Like, this is the last of the, like, scraping the bottom of the barrel to get more Twin Peaks stuff.
Right, exactly. And now we just have to make our own, make more.
Yeah, exactly.
So make more across David Lynch.
Yep. So now we have another 25 years to come up with all the other stuff that's come out since then.
Don't make me wait that long, please.
But yeah, I totally agree. All right, so...
I'll do it. I mean, I'll wait, but I don't want to.
Yeah. Next time on Ghostwood, I guess we're going to talk about the final dossier, Twin Peaks.
We're going to talk about the final dossier.
Yeah, because we're trying to play catch up here, because obviously the dossier's been out for a while now. And
yes, I took the dossier on the plane with me to Australia.
Right. So we're still playing catch up. And then, of course, we've got the season 3 release to go through with all the special features. But we might the final dossier came out first, so let's do that.
I think so.
This is also by Mark Frost, who obviously wrote The Secret History of Twin Peaks.
Yep.
And like I said, I'm only halfway through it, but lots of stuff to talk about.
I'm sorry I spoiled that for
That's
you.
okay. That's okay. That's okay. I kind of, well, I mean, we've speculated about it before, so it's not that much of a spoiler. So
we did.
It's just more confirmation. Like, hey, we were right. Yay.
We were right. Yay.
Yay. Yes. So
I feel smart now.
Yeah. Me am smart. Me fail English. That's impossible.
Me fail English. That's impossible.
That's my favorite all-time Ralph quote.
I don't know if it's that or in the doctor said I didn't have worms anymore. It was the happiest day of my life. And then there's also the doctor said if I wouldn't have so many nosebleeds if I just kept my finger out of it.
Ralph's one of my favorite characters of the show.
Let's not forget, is this my house? No, Ralph, you live in a different house. Oh, okay. Choo, 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 choo.
You choose me?
Oh, there's a picture of a train.
Yep.
Poor Ralph. Look at this, Lisa. You can actually pinpoint the moment his heart rips in half. And now.
Yep, sliding down that Simpsons rabbit hole once again. All right.
Look at the tongue.
Exactly.
Now I'm just cracking myself. I think it's time to go.
I know. It is. All right. So, if you want to get a hold of us, we do have some quick feedback. Do we have time to go through it, or you want to save it for next time?
We have time for listeners.
All right. I will pull this up. So, where is it here? On the checking the email.
Checking the
email.
Okay.
The email. So we got some feedback.
Maybe we should start a Strong Bad podcast where we just quote Strong Bad for like 5 minutes and then we're done.
We should just do the podcast as Strong Bad.
A Strong Bad.
Strong Bad podcast.
You can be Strong Bad. And
Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast by Strong Bad.
And I could be Senor Cartgage. I can help you get a leg up on the pile.
And I could be Bub.
I don't see nobody taking me to Chick-fil-A.
All right. So this is from Chris I. Now he says like the letter I.
Okay.
Is
it Chris I?
I don't know. Maybe it is. His email is medicinedog77@yahoo.com if you want to.
Oh no.
So if you want to drop Chris Isaac a line, apparently. But just saying. But so Chris writes in. He says basically he writes this kind of very lengthy manifesto about talking about the season and stuff. And he says, I think this season, because this is actually emailed to the Southgate Media Group email account that Rob Southgate, our editor, was kind enough to forward to me. So Chris says, I think the season is a pure work of art where there are so many possibilities and explanations. After reading the new Mark Frost book and going back to the series, I might have a new theory. I think Twin Peaks is doing a lot of ancient aliens on Twin Peaks, mixing religion and alien encounters and combining them into one world. I think.
Here's my Scrupulous impression. You like it?
Yes. Very nice. I think the fireman might be an exiled alien, Lucifer ? And creates Laura from his being possible fireman doppelganger to get back into the White Lodge. We never see the White Lodge, or do we? I thought we did see the White Lodge. We only see the Red Room, which is a waiting room to test oneself before advancing to the Black Lodge or the White Lodge. Laura was created to be
like the purgatory of Twin Peaks.
That's what that seems what it sounds like he's hinting at. I always thought it was just like, hey, okay, this is the waiting room for the Black Lodge.
Well, there could be more to it. You never know.
Yeah, it's true. There could be purgatory. Laura was created to be a martyr, so to infiltrate the White Lodge by the firemen. Laura was incubated in Sarah Palmer to be born with a soul in order to gain access to heaven, in parentheses, the White Lodge.
Everything is fine in heaven.
Yep. When Sarah's watching the tiger mutilating the water buffalo and the boxing match in a loop, Judy is feeding off Sarah's pain and misery, sucking her dry until she is no longer useful. Well, I kind of like that theory.
I like that theory too. I like where he's going with the other theory. I just don't like the idea of the fireman being a bad guy.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, it could be, but I'd
I
like to think this is a pure good versus evil thing here.
And I like to think that the fireman is good.
Yeah.
I really hope he is.
And the last scene with Sarah is when Sarah's doppelganger kills her when Laura is taken from the timeline. I really considered Sarah's doppelganger. I thought it was more Judy. But
interesting idea, though.
It's an intriguing idea. So he says the woodsman is asking God a light because they were searching for Laura, the light/essence that came from the fireman.
Oh, I like that.
The black and white pieces are all different areas of the Black Lodge, an alien spaceship/dimension, ? The woodsmen work for the fireman when Mr. C is shot and they attempt to release Bob, but then put him back into Mr. C because the time wasn't right. I'm not sure about that one. Yeah, that's
true. No, he's right that the time wasn't right because Freddie McRubberfist was there.
Well, that's what he says next. He says Freddie wasn't there with his Hulk glove to break Bob into the shards that break Bob into the shards that would go back to the Black Lodge.
Yes.
And then he says, notice when Richard and Carrie enter Twin Peaks, the entire town is empty. No cars, no people around, as if the darkness took over and made it a living grave.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's kind of morbid. What if Alice Tremond, the owner of the Palmer House, is the wife of Mrs. Tremond's grandson, the magician? We kind of speculated about that the husband might be the magician, or magic kid grown up.
Yeah, magic kid. Yeah, that's true. I like that. Yeah. But again, what year is it? Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, what year is this? Could there be a link between the Chalfonts, Tremonds, and the Horns/Martells? Not sure about that.
Oh, like two great houses?
Maybe. Oh, yeah, maybe. When Hawk points to the fire on his ancient Nez Perce map, he says that electricity could be used for good or evil. Laura is that fire electricity that came from the firemen.
And she can be both good and evil.
Yeah, maybe. The fireman is the angel Lucifer, which means the light bearer, which is passed to Laura, which explains the light when she removed her face. And it was Lucifer who was banished to the sea of nothingness in the plane of non-existence. And the whole series is about erasing the death of Bob, Beelzebub in parentheses, and Laura Palmer in parentheses, who is the Antichrist spawned by the firemen. Laura was supposed to be possessed by Bob to end Lucifer's exile by becoming one with Judy to to end the existence of everything. Told you this was a long manifesto. The alarm in the fireman's throne room let him know that the seal was broken to release the Antichrist, a.k.a. Laura. P.S. Senorita Dido, Xan's favorite.
My favorite.
Is Lucifer's bride as Dido killed herself in Carthage. Google Dido in Carthage. And sentenced herself to hell. Also, the fireman is old as hell and has on a smoking jacket. And during the Trinity test, along with the Jack Parsons sex magic ritual to invoke the Mother of Abomination, the experiment spewed the entities/demons into the convenience store. This evil began to slowly take over the Black Lodge and town of Twin Peaks, influencing everyone's lives in some negative way. This evil also possessed Mike, who had to cut off his arm to be free from it. Mike seemed like the only Black Lodge entity to really try to help Agent Cooper prevent the end of existence, however, was thwarted back on the path of destruction by the firemen. He's put a lot of thought into this.
I do, and I like the amount of thought he's put into it. I like the theory. It's so negative.
Yeah.
I find the negativity upsetting.
Yeah. Doesn't
mean
he's wrong. Yeah.
I find it upsetting.
Yeah, I'd like to. Hopefully, there'd be more positivity here. I agree.
Yeah.
During Agent Jeffrey's Blue Rose case, he came across a criminal syndicate and was pushed through time to the future when he had dealings with Mr. C in Buenos Aires. Then was pulled back in time to FBI headquarters when when he was then introduced to Agent Cooper in Fire Walk with Me. He then became trapped in the time machine, and he speaks to both Mr. C and Cooper as if they're one and the same.
One and
the same.
The same.
Yep. The fireman then pits Mr. C and Agent Cooper in a race to find the, quote, Grand Central Station of time portals to go back in time to undo the death of Laura, Mr. C, or excuse me, to undo the death of Laura.
Hmm.
And then Mr. C and Cooper are both in the dark about Judy. Agent Cooper was on a mission to stop Judy by taking Laura and placing her in a different timeline, thus preventing Laura from ever putting on the ring. I believe that Nido, who then turned into Diane, was Judy, and Diane was dead the whole time.
What?
Yeah, this is where he kind of loses me. Diane's tulpa was so traumatized by her own torture and death by Mr. C, and when Nido / Judy turns into Diane, her hair and nails resemble the waiting room of the Black Lodge, not the fireplace space station.
That's true. That is true. When
Agent Cooper and Diane drive to the motel, they perform ritual sex magic to invoke the Moonchild to open the portal for the future for Agent Cooper only. Diane (Judy) does not follow, hence her seeing her own double before the ritual, and the note left in the morning by Richard by Linda.
Interesting.
Yep.
Again, this is an interesting theory that I like hearing, but it just makes me sad.
Yeah. Cooper then takes Carrie Page back to Twin Peaks, assuming he has defeated Judy by stealing Laura away. Laura and Sarah no longer live at the Palmer house because Leland killed himself a year after Laura's disappearance, and Sarah was killed by her own doppelganger that was living with her. That's the sound Hawk heard in the house when he questioned Sarah.
Yeah. Okay.
Cooper, unaware that the Palmer house is now the epicenter, reunites Judy with Laura Palmer, thus collapsing space-time, wiping us out of existence. Well, that's nihilistic.
Well, I can see where he's going with that, where Laura, Laura finally picks up on it and screams, and then we're in the dark. Yeah. So I can see where he's coming with that.
Right. While Cooper is trapped in the time machine reliving the past, is it future or is it past?
Mm-hmm.
The last scene is Laura whispering in Cooper's ear that she is now Judy. Since Cooper...
It was my father who killed me?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Since Cooper took Laura before she put the ring on. Laura's death when she put the ring on kept the world spinning. By taking her before she put the ring on and then reuniting her with Judy completed the possession and our path to darkness / nothingness, which is echoed in a scream at the very last scene. Again, very nihilistic here.
Very much so.
Cooper failed his mission and was fooled into thinking the Black Lodge was helping him. They pretty much went the same direction as the Sopranos ending when Tony fades to black. And then Journey says, "Don't stop believing." Yeah. Bottom line, Agent Jeffries had the one chance to go back in time and ward Gordon Cole, but didn't see how the big picture, so now he is stuck in the time machine.
Like literally in the machine.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah, he's the tin machine, remember?
He's the tin machine. Yeah, he's literally in the machine.
Yep. Agent Cooper had 2 chances to save Laura and ended up fulfilling the end of the world prophecy and is now stuck in the time machine as well. Repeating the loop in the waiting room. The moment Cooper's big head appears in part 17 is the moment he made the decision to go back in time, which created a butterfly effect, in a way.
Okay.
My theory on the sound before Laura vanishes came to me when I saw the very first episode of Twin Peaks Season 1. Audrey is giving the secretary a hard time by twisting her pencil into her coffee cup before pouring it out and having the coffee spill out. It makes the same sound. That squeaky styrofoam is what he's hinting at.
It does. That's true. It does.
See, I thought it sounded more like an insect, personally.
But I can see where he's getting that.
Right. See, I was thinking it was like the bug, insect, the noise from the bug that went into young Sarah Palmer.
Yeah.
I
think that's probably what it was, but maybe...
That's my theory.
maybe they're supposed to be reminiscent of each other as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Another theory I have is that all the Lauras we see scream and fly up in the air are all doppelgangers, until the end when Cooper finds the real Laura. My theory on... How many more theories does he have here? Oh, we're almost done. Okay. My theory... Sorry, Chris. My theory on the Mr. C, Dougie Coop, and Agent Cooper is basically Lynch showing us that no matter how we act, either evil or good, we are all eventually Dougie Coop, being pushed through time whether we want to or not. If we are lucky, Jade will give us 2 rides.
Jade, I'll bet she did.
Yep. Jade give 2 rides. I'll bet she did. Yep. So that was very lengthy theories from Chris. So thanks, Chris.
Yes, thank you for the theory. I
AKA
like
Medicine Dog 77. So
AKA Chris Isaac.
AKA Chris Isaac. So
that's what I'm going to believe that this Chris Isaac.
Yep.
I like the thought that was put into the theory, and I find the theory interesting. It makes me too depressed to want it to be true.
Yeah.
So.
I think some of those theories are valid. I'm not sure the entire thing is. So
true.
But again, this is right now. This is open to interpretation. So every theory is valid at this point, I think.
True. But yes,
until we get some kind of confirmation that contradicts that.
Until Mark Frost and David Lynch tell us for yay or nay. So they need to do that right now.
Yeah. At least write another book, Mark Frost. Just saying.
Write another book, Mark Frost, please.
Yep.
Which is fun to live in this world.
Right. So that's it. Obviously that was a lot. But thanks to Chris. Thanks to Chris for writing in. And if you want to be like Chris and you got some theories of your own, please feel free to write in. You can reach us at ghostwoodpodcast@gmail.com if you want to drop us a line like Chris did. We would love to hear from you. And, or if you want to reach us on the Twitter machine, you can reach us at GhostwoodCast or on our Facebook page, Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks Podcast. So please like us and follow us there. That would be awesome.
Yes, please.
And then, of course, we're on iTunes, and we'd definitely appreciate that if you rated us and that helps subscribe to us as well. Yes, thank you, because that helps people find us. And please tell your friends about us if you're so inclined, because we definitely appreciate that as well.
We'll be around more often because, there's no more 2-week trips to Australia coming up anytime soon.
Yeah, exactly. And we got the holidays coming up, so we can try to get back on track now.
Yeah, we're gonna want to be stuck in the house and doing nothing.
Yep. And hey, look, just happen to have that spiffy new season 3 set. So
what up, girls?
Just saying.
Go away, Richard.
But look at Laura. She's so pretty.
Oh, it's Laura in the gold ball.
Yep. She's so. Yep.
Bezos.
Shakes fist. But he's the only Amazon that didn't end up on Paradise Island.
And for good reason. He is male.
That would be why. That would probably be why.
Yep.
So apart from that, so Xan, where can they find you on the interwebs?
I am on Twitter as Udinax19. And I am on Facebook as Xan Sprouse. And I just was told that my privacy settings have me seeming very standoffish. Yes. So I'm trying to check my other inbox a little bit more often now. So
okay, that sounds good.
Yes.
All right.
What about you, Charles?
Be a little more sociable. That's awesome.
Well, I didn't know. Somebody said I tried to friend someone, and they said, "Well, I wasn't sure because I didn't see any photos." I was like, "What? You should be able to see photos." And so I.
With Facebook, it's hard to tell because they're always kind of screwy.
Yeah, that's true.
They change stuff. As for me, of course, I'm at Charles Skaggs on the Twitter machine, at Charles Skaggs on the Instagram. Google Plus for all you crazy kids in the Google Plus. And Facebook, of course, at Charles Skaggs. And my blog Geeky Things. If the button will work. It's not working. Why you no work?
Push the button, Frank.
Damn good coffee. And hot. There you go. Operator error, as always. Damn Good Coffee and Hot, where I talk about all the stuff we cover here on the Twin Peaks podcast, Ghostwood, including also other things, any David Lynch things that are related, also comic book and sci-fi goodness, and talk about my other two podcasts.
Congrats on 100 episodes.
Yes, 100 episodes of Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast, which just released today, and with Jesse Jackson, and the Fandom Zone podcast that I do with Karen Lindsay, where we talk about all the comic book shows on television, and Lord Almighty, there are aplenty these days.
There's tons of them.
Tons of them. So please check out the Phantom Zone podcast as well, because that would be fantastico.
I would like to put a shout out to say you guys need to give a good review to Runaways.
To what? I'm sorry, got a little distorted there.
You need to review and give a good review to Runaways.
Oh, yes. Now, I have actually watched Runaways. I don't know if Karen has.
Okay.
But I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying it so far. I know that episode 5, I think, gets posted today.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is because one of the other guests at the convention I was at in
James Marsters
was James Marsters. Yes. And I was in Australia because my husband, Chris Sprouse, is a comic book artist, and he was a guest of the show.
Right.
And one of the things that we did was we had this cocktail party afterwards where everybody could sort of mingle, have drinks and finger food, and fans who paid for the VIP package could go and mingle with the guests of the convention. And James Marsters walked around mingling with everybody he saw like it was his job. I mean, he was the sweetest, most personable, outgoing guy.
He knew how to work the room.
Just so willing to start up a conversation with anybody.
That's good.
And that was, and we were just sitting there, and when he found out that Chris was a guest of the show, he's like, "What are you sitting here for? Go talk to fans." And we're sitting there going like, "They're here to talk to you, dude."
Yeah.
So,
well, it's funny. Obviously, I became a James Marsters fan, obviously, on Buffy the Vampire Slayer when he played Spike. Right. But then also, he was on Torchwood as Captain John Hart, and then he was also on Smallville as Brainiac.
Yes, he was.
And a bunch of other places. So, so I'm a big James Marsters fan.
But James Marsters, and that's the thing, when you go to a comic convention, if you want to talk to one of the artists, you usually can. There's, they're doing sketches, they're at their table for a long time, and they can be signing autographs and sketching and talking to you at the same time. And it's a little bit different with the media guests. You're getting routed through like a herd of cattle. So,
pretty much, yeah.
The fact that he was able to, just like I said, even after hours on off time, just work the room and talk to the fans like it was any other cocktail party. He has so much respect in my heart now for that. Yeah. So support any James Marsters project you see, because he's a genuinely good guy.
That is a sign of a true professional, I think.
I think so too. And he didn't act like it was drudgery. And for me, it would have been a terrifying thing to strike up conversations with strangers.
Right.
But he did it like it was his job. It was amazing. It was very, very sweet. And Chris had been at a convention with Marsters about 20 years ago when Buffy was still on. And it was unfortunately a show that not many people went to, that didn't have a lot of attendance. So the artists were all just doing sketches for each other. And Marsters was in the same room with the artists and just talking to them, asking what they were working on, looking at the sketches. They were all just hanging out like just guys in a room. And Chris has always said that he was a really good guy from that as well. And what was funny at the time is Buffy was still filming.
Yeah.
So he's there with the bleach blonde hair, and he's got but James Marsters is American.
You're right.
So he has an American accent. So to see him look like, it's
really weird to hear him with his normal accent, because.
But and to see him look like Spike but sound American was just sort of like, what is this, cosplay? I mean, what's going on here?
Yeah. No, but I as someone who does watch Runaways on Hulu, I can definitely recommend him. I mean, his character definitely has the punchable face, but
I like characters like that.
Yeah, well, that's his character.
Awesome.
He plays a character called Victor, and who's one of the dads, and who's of course one of the dads who turns out to be, a supervillain. And so yeah, he's great, and he's also he's like he's more abusive toward his son on the show.
Oh.
So he definitely has a very punchable face, and he's arrogant about it. So.
Oh my gosh, and he's great at playing that too.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. If you ever watched him in Spike, you'll know what he is, and also as Captain John Hart.
As John Hart as well.
Yep,
yeah, you're like, oh damn it, him again. Let's watch.
But he definitely is fun to watch. So definitely check him out.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that about does it. Next time, we're going to talk about Twin Peaks: The Final Dossier.
Yep.
And so go bone up on that. I'm going to go finish it. And then we'll come back here in a couple of weeks, and we'll talk about it.
Yes, we will.
As we get back on track at last. So thanks everybody for listening to Ghostwood, and we'll see you next time right here on Ghostwood Twin Peaks Podcast. Out.
Hey everybody.